Yes, yes, my brother.
What's going on, bro? What's going on? This is
Look at that beautiful fresh face of yours.
Hear that, people? That's the fresh twang of pre-puberty brown.
So fresh and so clean.
That's it, man. That's it. Feels like my face can finally breathe. This is like half impulse. Usually, remember the last time I shaved the whole thing? This time I was like, okay, we're gonna go half hog and we're gonna play. They're gonna rock this for a while, man. Feels good. Feels good.
That solid jaw out.
Yeah, man. Feels good. Amazing, feels good. Yeah, man. Okay, so we're gonna get straight into it. We got another special guest today. We got the first male alpha male guest hanging out in the wings. So this is my mate. This is my training partner, my long-term cool sound guy, TJ. So yeah, do you want to bring him in? Then we talk more about his stuffs and his accomplishments.
Yeah, man. Let's bring in TJ. What is happening, TJ?
Hi guys.
What's going on,
man?
To
meet you through the medium of the internet, man.
Yeah, lockdown's got us doing things like this. Brown, pre-puberty brown. They're really good names.
Exactly.
Umar, where did you get pre-puberty brown from? Where did you get that?
Exactly.
That is from this fresh cheeks I've got here right now. That's the fresh face, pre-puberty brown, man.
He's back to being 11 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, I swear, I don't know about you. I bet this is a thing for TJ as well. But is there pictures of you from in school when you have like this sideburn that runs all the way down to here? Do you have that?
Yeah. There is pictures of me in school with like years ahead, like facial hair that should just not be there. At 12 years old, like, and then you get your dad's razor and make it 10 times less.
Yeah, little do we know that you're actually only about 15 with that beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. TJ, good to talk to you, man. We've heard good stuff about you through the medium of Umar. It says a lot of good shit about you, and I was like,
thanks, Umar.
Yeah. Thanks for picking me up, bro.
Imagine if I came on here and you was like, so we've heard real mixed things about you, bro. Like, we heard you're a bit of this and a bit of that, and then I'm seeing you tomorrow at training. I'm like, bro, why did you say that? There's no need for that. I thought we were mates.
Yeah, I thought we were friends, man. Come on.
Oh, man. I think everyone's heard about TJ in like small snippets, like from Silviu to Sam and Shad to Gorinda to Sunny to even some of the girls at the jiu-jitsu. I'm just like, yep, this is the guy trading, whatever. So yeah, finally here, everyone gets to have your first real introduction to TJ.
Hello, everyone.
How do you guys actually know each other?
Do you want me to go with this, or do you want to go with it?
Do it.
So we met at Pure Gym about, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago, and I was very unaware at Pure Gym as a personal trainer, and Umar came in very chest out, and I'm like, standing forward with his chest, and I'm just like, hey, who is this guy? And who does he think he is? So I remember the very first time I saw him. I don't know what I was doing. It probably wasn't very accurate, but I don't know what I was doing. But anyway, I saw Umar training, and he was very tall, very broad in his vest, looked jacked. And I was like, shit, man, who's this dude? Like, he looks jacked. Looks like and I saw him train, and you know, you can instantly tell when someone has more awareness or knowledge, or they're just doing something a bit better than, like, they're more on it, they're more about it than you are. So instantly, I think I was kind of like drawn to that. I was like, so I remember saw him walk, with his usual optimal posture. Like, this is how everything's fully aligned. I'm going to push 3 plates quite simply and put it there nice and controlled. And I'm going to take a breath. Very, very Umar-esque, just pure regulation. So then I remember I was training with another dude that we used to work with, and I had we hadn't really spoke too much, and he was in the office. So I just went into the office and I asked him a question about barbell row. And he could tell he looked at me like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Why? And bear in mind, like, I've never been particularly jacked anyway. But obviously, he's like, I don't know, we're both younger, probably both a bit more not as aware, and he's just looking at me like, and I didn't really give a shit how he was looking at me. I was just like, what do you think to this movement, bro? What do you think? What do you think? Because I can clearly tell whatever you're doing is working. And he was like, yeah, cool, like try it like this, very like dismissive, and I was like, all right then, like that's how it is. And then I was again very early stages in personal training, so I'll come in one morning, I think about 5 a.m. No, I come in at 6 a.m. My client was at 6 and probably didn't have no breakfast, rushed there, scurried there, got there at 10 to 6. And this is what really made me like, I saw a level. I had like a light bulb moment. It was at 6 a.m. And I refer to this a lot with people and Umar. He was like reading a book at 10 to 6 in the morning and eating beef and nuts. And I was, and I was like, I'm just like walking in, putting sleep in my eyes, just like looking like I literally just woke up. Yeah. And I saw him and I was like, crikey. Like, hello, mate. Nice to see you again. But I was wondering what kind of response I would get. Would I get, what are you doing here at this time of the day? This is my time of the day. Or would I get a warm response? And no, he was cool, man. He was just kind of dedicated. And I think that's what I respected that. And instantly, any thought processes I had, I was just like, wow, like this is a level to want to get to. I want to get to. And that was my initial introduction. And ever since then, I think I just put him in level of dedication to his craft. I put him on a step compared to most personal trainers I'd come across. I'd already worked in about, I think Pure Gym was my 4th gym at that time. So I'd worked in a few places. I'd worked alongside a few trainers, but I hadn't come across this kind of dedication. So yeah, that's how I met. I think instantly there was a level up there. I was like why are you doing this? Like, part of me was, is this guy okay? Like, this is like, the more and more I got to speak to him, the more and more I saw, or the more and more I got motivated, the more and more I wanted to get to know, and the more and more I was like, put all of my like unawareness, all ego aside, and just speak to him and just be cool with him and find common ground quickly because I liked and respected what I saw. And from there, I think there was just a genuine conceding of everything and just let's be cool, let's be mates. Just kind of flowed naturally, to be honest with you. I ended up copying him, to be honest. You know, like some of the sessions, I was like, cool, I can take that. I can take that. And so yeah, he had a big effect on my personal training without him even perhaps being aware of it. So thanks for that. Yeah. If I haven't said it before, say it now. Thank you very much.
Umar, what's your version of that story?
He's a fucking idiot.
Do you know what? That's such a great recollection. And it's really interesting to hear it from you. Obviously, we've talked about this in the past. We talked about this at length, right? We TJ had the probably the most with any other human in the world, the deepest like step-by-step talks about where we were at this point, where we were at that point, and really tried to like piece it together. And that in that first meeting is an interesting story because like you said, my version of the events was I'd just been sacked from my first gym job in Leicester. So I'd come to Leicester with my mum and my sister, started work and worked alongside a guy called John at the gym. And there was basically two ends of town. One end of town is where the High Cross supermarket, High Cross shopping complex thing is, where it's quite a busy end of town. And then down the other end of town, we've been working there for about 2 years, coming up to 2 years. There was a Pure Gym opening, and we were just a bit like, oh, this is going to take a bit of our customers and whatever. And anyway, it happened and whatever. So our manager at the gym left, and he went to a different the gym, and he was a pretty cool guy, pretty sound guy, quite corporate as all of them are. And the new guy that came in was a bit more of a hard nose, right? Like he was super corporate. Like the difference was the guy before had the door always open, and the guy second was the door was always closed. Like if you wanted to know, you wanted to see him, you had to knock on the door, you had to wait patiently, you had to just kind of be on his time, right? It was not about any kind of halfway house or whatever. So we had a good setup at the gym, me and this guy called John, and effectively we had our little gym in the gym, right? So we had our own squat racks, which is one I still have now, which I'm currently training clients with. We had our own barbells, our own plates, our own kettlebells, our own dumbbells, and we just basically did our own gym in their gym, which is a great way of it to run. And obviously, when this new guy came in, he was like, "Oh well, this is not going to work." And John had been there for about 6 years at that point, and he looked at me like, "How long have you been here?" And I was like, "Well, I've been here about a year and a bit." And he was like, "Well, no, you can't do this anymore." So already, I'm just like, "What do you mean?" Like, I'm I'm working, I'm busy, I'm looking after the gym, and immediately we clashed. Anyway, turns out like a month and a bit later, he picks up more and more problems with me, and he's like, no, you got to go. And they're all just bullshit problems. I won't kind of get into them now because we'll tell the TJ story, right? But anyway, he pulls me into the office one day and he's like, "Yeah, you can't. You got to take your business elsewhere," and just tells me like that straight up. And I get super angry, and I don't ever get angry. I hardly ever get angry. And I remember walking up on him like I wanted to really just throw him through a wall. And I was about 100 and close to 125 kilos at this point, and this guy was about 67 kilos, right? And it was like, and you could tell he was just getting like, I'm just backing up real hard. Anyway, I don't like getting angry, right? But that made me really annoyed. Anyway, so left the gym, came back home, and I was like, shit, what do I do now? I've got to provide. I've got to kind of be man of the house and whatever. I need to move all my customers somewhere else. So I start looking everywhere. And I remember going on the Pure Gym website and seeing TJ's profile there. I've never told him this. And just looking through it, and I saw Anthony, another guy that we know, and TJ, and I saw Abs, and the guy that TJ is referring to, he was training with Abs when he asked me that question. And yeah, I okay, I'm gonna put an application in. Went to Pure Gym, did the interview, and it was the shortest distance for my clients to move. So I was like, okay, we're gonna go there. And luckily, a lot of them moved with me. And I got there day one, and my reason for going to Pure Gym was simple. It was to get there and produce results that got me to go to the UP in London, which was like I can give them in my CV and say, look, here's my results. I'm a good personal trainer. Please let me work for your company because I need to earn my way. I need to provide. I need to whatever. So I looked at every other PT at Pure Gym like, get out of my way, because I'm not here for you. I'm here for me, right? And that was God's honest truth. I was like, I'm in a hot spot right now. I've got shit on top of my. I didn't tell my mom or my sister that I had moved gyms because I was like, I can't tell them. I can't tell them that I've lost my job or I've been sacked, because they're like, what are you doing? Like, why is this happening? It would have been one of those Asian family moments where like crisis, right? So I come home and I just chill at home for a few days, and I kind of pass it off like, yeah, everything's fine, everything's okay. Meanwhile, I have no job, right? And anyway, get the job at Pure Gym, and I meet TJ day one. And the question he asked me, I still remember the question. He asked me, he goes, is it better to do bent over rows like this or like this? Like, is it overhand or underhand, right? And I think at the time I was like mad on the whole underhand, like wide, like get to your lats more. And now studying with Jordan Shallows, he's actually backing that up. So he's saying that when you kind of pronate the grip, you set the shoulders in a way that allows you to line up the lat fibers and you're in external rotation, all this stuff sets the shoulders. So that was the first question he asked me. And yeah, like you said, I was super dismissive. I was just like, sorry, what was the question? Yeah, tell me again. Like I would just I don't need to know you. You don't need to know me. But this. I don't need friends right now. All I need is clients and transformations. I need to leave. That's what I needed to do. And that was my mindset. That was genuinely my mindset. And even though there was this honest kind of appeal from another human being to be like, wow, are you cool? Can we be cool? I was just like, blinkers on, leave me alone. And that's why when he said the other story about me being there at 6 a.m, that was because I knew I had to just step it up. I didn't have John there anymore. I didn't have anybody else there to kind of be, because John instilled that in me. He's a guy who's, I'd say, if the last 8 years, you could look at the last 8 years, and I'd say he's probably had 30 to 35 to 40 clients booked in for the last 8 years consistently. Like, the only time he doesn't have that booked in is when he's on holiday with his family and he's taking a bit of time off for competition prep or whatever. He's a powerlifter, right? So he instilled in me that personal trainers are hardworking people, and this is such a duality from the rest of the industry, right? Where we see PTs that get into the industry because it's quick money, and how many other jobs can you go and do then charge £20 an hour on day one, right? So that's what I'd seen, and then I saw him and I was like, wow, I need to be that guy. And the way he was with me, I almost carried that around with me and was like, okay, I'm going to be this way with other people. And I think that kind of permeated into I've never actually divulged this or even thought about this, but it kind of permeated into the way that I was then with TJ, which was if you wanted to talk to John, you had to kind of be on a level with John. Like you had to kind of, and that's again, John was there for his own reasons. John was there because he has a kid, he has a family, he has things to provide for, and when he had to leave, he would just pick his shit up and he would go. Like he wasn't there for anybody else. And I think that's kind of the way I started to carry myself. So when I met TJ, I was probably not very approachable. I definitely wasn't very approachable, and I was very, very straight to the task. That's it. Yeah. And then we just went from there. I remember this is the time. This is the moment that I realized that I wanted to learn more or be in TJ's presence more. And it was he told me that he was going for a grappling competition, and at the time I knew nothing about grappling, nothing about jiu-jitsu. Zero awareness. The only thing I knew about wrestling was WWF, WWE, right? That was it, right? And
grappling is WWE.
Yeah,
getting that clinch.
Yeah, just like nothing, zero awareness, right? And he told me that he was going to go for a competition. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's fine. That's nice. Good luck. See you later. And he come back in on Monday, and he's like, yeah, I won.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You won? And he was like, yeah, I won. And he was like, yeah, here's the video. He showed me the video, and I was like, what the hell? This guy's not just a wrestler, but he's the gold medal winning wrestler. And I was like, okay, oh shit, like maybe I need to check myself. Like this guy can teach me a thing or two. So he goes for another competition, I think a little while later, and I found out. I think he messaged me at that point. We exchanged numbers, and he messaged me that he had won that one as well. And I was like, what?
I'd been promoted.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
I forget his mobile number. I'd clearly got promoted, eh?
And I heard. So I think he messaged me with like either him on the podium or the medal. I think that was it. It was a picture of the medal, and I was like, whoa, this guy's legit. So I remember going into Pure Gym. If anyone who's ever worked in Pure Gym, the office room where the trainers all sit is just miserable, right? And I went in there and I went on the lockers and I played like the champ is here. Yeah, and it's so funny because you cited that song, didn't you? When we said the walkout music.
Yeah, exactly.
We were all with Jude. So I played that. We were just, I think from then it was like we were kind of cool. We were just cool. Like I had the ego that I had was receding slowly. And the respect and the acknowledgement of TJ was like, okay, this guy's cool. This guy's legit. I need to follow him around more.
Got promoted.
Got promoted to being followed.
Anybody ever wants to get a promotion, just go and compete in something, you'll get promoted.
Yeah, exactly. You go up in the estimations.
Yeah.
That was it, man. I think it was because like I had never done anything like that. I'd never experienced somebody who's like that willing to just step in. I'd always been that in my own way. Like I was always the person who I thought I can go and do that. I can do it, but I'd never seen somebody actually do it. And he was the person who just did it. He was just like, yeah, and that permeates through him as a person. Somebody who just kind of is on the front line. Like, what? I'll do it. Yep, pick me. That's that really. Once I took my attention away from just myself and realized that he's that kind of way, made me feel like, yeah, this is the person I need more around me.
Yeah, nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting he speaks. So, like when I was grappling in them days, I knew absolutely nothing.
Oh, really?
I remember there was a couple of times when whoever was cornering, I was like, pass. And I swear I was so unaware. I was like, what are you on about? Like, this was a what's he on about? Pass. Literally, I was like, I'd probably competed at that point more than I trained, like an idiot. But it also gave me a huge advantage, I feel like, as I continued to compete, and a good insight of the day of what happens with competing and things like that. But I remember those early competitions that Umar's referring to. Some of them I just went by myself. I literally just wanted to just feel good about, like, I don't know, it just made me feel good, so I went. But I knew very little, man. If I showed you the videos, you'd be like, how did this guy even get there? Like, what the
I didn't even find the competition.
Yeah, man. But I think that's what made our bridge initially.
Sick.
Strength to strength. And I remember once I'd spent and spoke more with Umar, he came onto the UP process, and I already must have had about 20 jobs by that point. So when I was seeing his application and he was saying, I want to go to UP, I think I was more confident than him that he's going to get a job at UP. Like, I was like, he's like, do you reckon I should do this? Do you reckon I should do that? And I was like, you're going to go there and you're going to set a bar. You're going to go there and you're going to set a standard, because ain't no other Tom, Dick and Harry eating beef and nuts at 6 a.m, mate. I can tell you that now. And he'd been there, he's eating it at 6 a.m, but he's been there since 5 a.m. So like, when I saw that, and then like, he was sure like putting a lot of, understandably, he was putting a lot of like emphasis and like a lot of, this was a big deal for him, like a big deal. And like, and understandably, and I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, man, like, you're gonna go there and you're gonna show these people what time it is. And I didn't even know, I never heard of UP, but I knew what I saw in Umar, and I was like, he's gonna go there, and it's the same impression he had here, like chest out, maybe just be him. He might have that there, but once he gets his feet in and he's comfortable, he's going to show them a standard that perhaps they're not familiar with. And told you that would happen, eh?
Yeah, you called it.
And every time we talk on the phone, he'd be like, I'm there at, I'd left Pure Gym, he'd gone to UP, I'd gone to another gym, and Umar was always the early bird, and he's almost like I was the early bird, but I probably wasn't a regulated early bird. I probably wasn't a productive early bird, whereas he was. So I slowly like would see his Instagram story at 5 a.m, 4 a.m. So I was like, okay, if he's doing that, I'm gonna do that. So then like I just used to like, where I used to work, I'd get the keys for that gym. I'd go in at 4:30, flick the lights on, and then I'd put it on my Instagram story. I'd be like, yeah, where you at, Umar? Where you at, mate? Giving it sports team, mate. You went in the gym now, are you, mate? So like,
you guys making those Jocko Willink posts says like, get after it before Jocko Willink's making those posts.
Tell me about it.
A perfect example of align yourself with people that make you level up, make you do better, and I think he's a perfect example of that across many realms. And I think when we spoke distantly with him being at UP, you could see the level of personnel or trainers he was working alongside, and then the conversation I was having, you could see a big difference. Like, this was high performance, like this was go get it, this was be optimal, be productive, be your best, do your best. I'm not saying I wasn't that, but it wasn't as good as that. Does that make sense? So I think if you have a conversation once a week with somebody like that, maybe once a month or once every 2 weeks, you're carrying that kind of standard. And I think that really helped me in the gym that I was working at the time, even though I wasn't working alongside him. Are you with me? Like,
yeah.
And I was just like, well, if Umar does this, I'm going to do this, because I felt like no one else was doing that. I felt like a level up. I felt like just better. And long and behold, I remember like, I think we almost made a bet. Did we make a bet who could do the most? That happened.
I think so. Yeah.
What was that? Do the most what?
Most. He's smiling because he won the bet. This guy, I know this guy. It was who could make the most money, or it was like that, wasn't it? It was who could make the most money in a year doing PT at either UP or the gym that he was at.
Right.
And like I said, he won.
But it was the worst thing about it was, so like,
damn, you won, even making Leicester money.
But it was close. And then I remember Umar used to come back from time to time, and I was fortunate that he'd come back and be like, right, should we go to gym? So like, I would effectively get a UP, because if UP was a standard to adhere to or get to or want to be to, I was getting one of their most productive trainers training with me or training me at times. So I was like, yeah, man, I'm getting this. I'm taking this. I'm going to squeeze this sponge for everything that I can get out of it. He's my friend. I appreciate it. And then I feel that in PT, like I was doing some freaky numbers, man. Like, and when PT say I'm fully booked, and I'm like, cool, man. I'd been fortunate to be fully booked throughout most of my personal training. And I was learning so quickly from the things that I was trying to get as much as I can in our sessions, and I learn it on Monday and apply it on Tuesday. And I think it helped me sustain a successful business. It helped me have some form of quality control of the work that I was delivering. And I think that showcased, because when PT say, I'm fully booked and they do 20 sessions, and it's cool, they can do whatever they want. And I think I'd lost myself a little bit, and I was just trying to do more. And I'd ended up doing like 60 or 70 sessions a week consistently for about I think maybe about 9 months.
Wow.
So then, like, I remember, like, how many sessions you done this week, Umar? Okay, I've done this much. How many you done? Okay, I've done this much. And then, yeah, man, again, it's just another example of aligning yourself with people that you're aware that make you level up, and just reciprocating the energy, and just being like grateful for that, and then appreciating that. And then as time went on, I think he went on to. I remember we talk about UP, and I'm pretty sure like he'd achieved some month. What did you achieve every month? What was it?
Yeah, it was a couple. It was like 7 months in a row. It was like best PT at UP, or voted like PT of the month, that kind of thing. And it's not like a massively prestigious, but your other peers vote for you, right? And it was something that I was like really proud of, of.
And you should be, man, because they make a lot of noise. They're like, again, a standard to get to, be to. They're very results driven, and if you're being like, if you're top of the cream there, then there's a reason for that. So I feel like I'm probably getting a watered down version through WhatsApp, through phone calls, through him coming down to work with me and training with me at the gym that I was working at, and then it was having a knock-on effect to my workload, and my client base was getting bigger and bigger. So I think it's, again, a perfect example of being aware of what you have access to, and then just making the most of it, and then making everything, like, appreciate it, gratitude and stuff like that. Are you with me?
Yeah, 100%, man. And Umar, what would you say you got in return with that relationship then? Because obviously you ain't just going to hang around with some dude who's milking it with you.
You got a level of awareness from one unregulated human.
Unregulated human. Oh, I like that.
Do you know what it was? It was like, I can say it's really interesting, man. There's so many dynamics to this, but what I got was exposure to a different way of living, like a different way of a human being having arrived at 20-something years old, mid 20 years old, and just I didn't know anything at the time. I didn't know anything of TJ's life at the time, and privileged to now. But I didn't, because I was so absorbed in my own self, I didn't realize that other people could have got to where they are right now through different means, through different ways. And that's what he fully exposed me to. And up until then, I just hadn't had any kind of reps with this kind of person. And it was just a weird thing. It was just a totally different thing. And because of the tie to grappling, and I remember this was cool because the club that TJ was training at when I met him, I went one day by myself because he told me to go and take some private lessons from the instructor, and then go and apply it in the actual sessions. So I did that, followed his advice on that, and then I was leaving one day, and Dan Hardy was walking up the stairs, and I knew we'd watched UFC a few times. This is when Dan Hardy had just kind of stopped. I think he found out about his condition, and he just kind of stopped, and I was like, oh shit, this is levels. This is like big athletic, like world level people, and this is my into that. Not only my into to somebody like TJ, but my into that was also through what he had opened the door to, and that was just a big insight. I was like, wow, okay, I need to take this more seriously. I need to take this more seriously. I need to kind of see where I am at, and then push on. And obviously going to UP, that was a goal for myself. I wanted to progress in terms of personal training, but then TJ always represented this like athletic performance, and he'd always said to me like, you can be athletic, you can kind of do these things, and I always believed I could. Being a kid kind of growing up, I mean, we can get into that a little bit later, but you always feel like you have that athleticism in you, you have that go in you, right? I don't know about you, Self-Grin, but like wrestling with your dad or wrestling with like your brother, I'm sure you did with Sam, it gives you that kind of, I want to do this, I want to kind of be physical. And then I see this person kind of doing that and being that and winning at that, and then mixing and touching elbows with people that are at a global recognized level with that. I'm like, wow, this is really impressive. And yeah, and then at the end of the day, it was a friend. It was a friend, and then it developed into more, and then it developed into kind of just being very, very close with somebody who you can have a working relationship with, you can have a friend relationship with, and you got to obviously wear different hats every time you have a different chat or whatever. And it's support as well, support, guidance in his own way. Something I've not had. I mean, like kind of you say this, like kind of I see like kind of through my own growing up, never had a brother, always had a dad, always had a kind of like a disciplinarian, like somebody to aim for, and he was always like Superman, right? He was always that guy. But then you can't always get there, especially when you're a kid. But you aim high, right? You aim high, and you want to do that. And that was what I kind of lacked, was like that brother kind of role, that somebody just kind of be there on level with, right? And I think that's what he initially provided, and that's what got on to kind of the relationships got stronger and stronger and stronger. And this is where we are today, doing a podcast together.
Yeah. Like it almost sounds like it was on the brink if like TJ didn't kind of persist a little bit, because you were so in your own zone, and then TJ was really keen to pick stuff up from you. It's almost like if you didn't respond to that, or if TJ thought, "Now this guy's a dick, screw it," it's like this might not have happened.
It's a really good way of looking at it, Grinder.
Yeah. I've not thought about that. I mean, for me, it was always like if somebody was about it now I can say if you're about it in many different realms. If you're a videographer, but you're trying to be the best videographer, if you're a fucking race car driver and you're trying to be the best race car driver, I'll always be like, oh shit, what are you doing? Like, can I hear about it? But back then there was only a few things that were like triggers to me, and I think as TJ, even though he was coming forth with like willingness and like let's talk and whatever, like I said, I wasn't there for that at that time. But because he was willing and he was doing in the other realm of grappling, of jits, of whatever, that was me recognizing and being like, okay, I need to take this person more seriously, because that's something that I'm not doing right now. Can I go and learn from him? You know what I mean? It's almost like you see in your, what's that thing, like kind of if you have a mentor, or if you have somebody do the things that you're interested in, well, common ground, right? Common ground. If you have common ground with somebody, you're like, okay, now we can kind of progress, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Because like I've been in a similar scenario to you, where like you've lost your job basically, and you've got the blinkers on because you just want to make sure that you get yourself set. And I noticed when I came out of that phase about 6 months later, I was like, shit, I was actually quite a different person to the people around me. And I'm so glad that the people I was around didn't kind of just drop me as a result of that. And so I kind of like I resonate the position that you were in, and I'm appreciative of TJ just kind of just not worrying about that too much, and just kind of like, you know, you seeing what he's got to offer, and also but him being like, oh, this guy's got something to offer, even though he's not like totally responding to me right now. We can work this out over time.
I think with regards, I think it was just, I think you can never you can only respect someone or something that is better than you at that moment in time, at that specific thing. Are you with me? So I think even if I thought he was whatever he could have been in my head, the most unregulated word possible, I still had to, if I was true to myself, I would still have to respect the efforts, the dedication, the willing, the want, the application, the process, the process bit. And I think once you are real with yourself and see that, it's weird because I used to take things quite personally, but I think his dismissiveness, I didn't take that too personally.
Nice.
And we ended up, like I said, in a better place.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And like, was that, and at that time, did you just start grappling around then, or had you been doing it for a bit?
It's an interesting one. Like, me and my brother used to grapple as kids in unusual situations. To basically just, we was quite poor, and just to, our electric would go, and to stay warm for most of the week, we'd just grapple. Like, we'd be very unorthodox, just very like, I'm gonna just wrestle you until we're tired, and it'd be like for about 2 hours, and then it'd be like hard concrete, it'd be hollow walls, and like the walls would be dented or whatever, and it was just too unaware and regulated, too brave. We just kind of like, this is what we saw. We put a bit of WWE with it, we put a little bit of jits with it, what we saw on TV, and then we just put it together and see what happens. And I think my brother took it a bit more seriously because I was into football more so at that point. And he went to a good school locally for a bit, and he competed early, and he did really well, man. Really, really well. He, as I grew to realize, it was, I think, the foundation. You can be physically as good as you want, but I think if the mindset doesn't follow with the physicality of things, then you're probably 20% there, which is pointless. And I think as good as we both were as young kids physically, our environment and years up to those points was very unusual. That's probably the best way to put it. And he didn't perhaps do as well as he could have, just because he didn't have it much. So he had it here. When it gets hard, not so much up here. Does that make sense? But you only realise that when you look back, like a couple of years down the line. So yeah, I got into it like that, and then it was just on and off for me. Like, didn't really have any awareness of like technique, positions, nothing like that. And then I think I on and off came to a place in Leicester. I'd go for like about a week, have a month off, go for a week, still go gym, and then I was just I remember my first comp. It was like an inter club, like an entry level, or the local club. Get a few of the local clubs and just test your skills, see what you've learned. And even at that point, I think I was not even at entry level of knowledge, but I was more so past entry level of just instinct and just I enjoy this. I should apply myself. I should be a better learner. I feel I should have been a better learner looking back, receiving the knowledge that I was receiving in a more concise, clear, applicable way the next day. But I wasn't doing that. And when I did go to compete, I remember I'd smoked some weed, went KFC. I think I was sleeping in my car around at that time, and I was just in a shit place, in a really bad place. And I just went to train, and I just my usual, just do it self. And one of the guys was like, "Why don't you compete in this inter club?" And I was like, "When is it?" And he was like, "Tomorrow." Zero gas tank, zero cardio, zero anything, just me. And I remember watching it, and I was like, I think I got like a silver. It was just a nice reward for a small thing, for a small competition. And I was just really chuffed with it. And I was just like, wow, man, like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, even when they were telling me what to do, I still, like, they were saying like fake or bait or like single leg. And I was like, what do you mean single leg? Stand on one leg? You want about standing on one leg, mate? You're telling me single leg? So like, I was just kind of quite instinctual with it. And yeah, then I just went from there. I felt good about the reward of it. I enjoyed it. It was a bit of a focus point. And then I think I just went on like a bit of a rampage with competing in my first or second year, where I'd go train and then I'd go compete, and sometimes I'd just like literally book it like a week and a half before and just go and have a good time, enjoy it. You know what I think it was just reminding me of childhood memories that I enjoyed, and then it kind of putting it to a different situation where you can test yourself a little bit, you can compete, you can learn something, meet new people, give you a bit of focus, all these things that came with it. And I was just going on like literally month to month, week, almost every two. So at one point, I think 2 weeks, and another 2 weeks, and then 4 weeks, and another 4 weeks I was competing. And I'd learned a lot about that process. I still weren't quite sure what passing guard was. And then I remember I was getting like, again, there was like novice level competitions. So that if you was a good athlete, if you were stronger than people and faster than people, you would have probably done well. And that's what happened. And then it was just a good learning curve. And I think as the levels went up, it got harder and got more exposed. So then the need and the want to learn became more evident. And then I messed up a little bit, I think. I became too far that way. Like, I have to do this perfect. Right. And then almost ended up, what's that saying? Paralysis by analysis?
Yeah.
I ended up being that dude, and I hate being that dude. I was like, what the hell, man? Like, you went there knowing zero, and now you know a little bit more, and you're thinking about it. It's never going to happen to an absolute T. And even that was a learning curve, because I think going to these places for, say, 60%, I went by myself to compete. It was just good. It was fun. And if I made a friend in the process, then happy days. It could have been worse. So, yeah, man. And now I'm going to compete again when the lockdown's finished, get back to training, get some mat time, and go and have some fun, man.
Yeah. That's right, man. That's interesting. Is it so? It's something that just kept you grounded?
Yeah, it gave me a focus. It gave me like just something to work towards. And like I said, like I think I was perhaps subconsciously, when I saw what Umar was doing or what Umar was about, I think the reason why I was going that way at Pure Gym was I think there was maybe unaware or subconscious, like this is a good person or a good thing or a good level to aspire to, or he's just doing his job better than me. So maybe if I align myself with that, I can be there. Are you with me? And applying that back to grappling, and this is a good thing to do. This is a productive thing to do. This is a goal-setting thing to do. And then when I do these things, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. That's what they say, don't they? So yeah, man, it was good, and I look to do more of it. And in the time that we spent training partner, he's come with his own take your head off game that he's learned with Sylvia. Yeah, so I wasn't aware of that. I didn't have too many reps in that, and so we just share the things that we've learned, and then common ground, and just started training, and then just went from strength to strength in that way.
Yeah, wicked, man. What level are you at now?
I'm currently competing no-gi advanced, which would be like brown belt, black belt, no-gi. But in the gi, I've had 0. But again, I think more so I'd like to be more about the process, respecting the whole being of it, everything that it's grappling, and then when the time's right to compete, yeah, man, go and have a good time. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's like I've got some questions for you, especially as an advanced belt in the no-gi. But actually, they gave me something to think about there, because I've been reading a bit about like grit and mindset. I'm reading those 2 books at the moment, right? And they just go hand in hand quite nicely. So you talked about how like your brother had the physical capabilities, but like mindset wise, he wasn't quite there. Like whereas with yourself, you took it to the extent where the more exposed you got, the more you wanted to learn. So you had that growth mindset attached to it as well. Where do you think that came from versus like, because it's like, you're talking about yourself and your bro, and you've gone down that track of having more of a growth mindset, and whereas your brother struggled with that. So it's quite interesting to know how like you might have where you changed track, or if you were just different from the beginning.
I would say that again, my family experiences and my brothers were both unusual. So when I stepped away from the immediate circle, it was probably the best thing that I did, I feel. And as a result, I was able not to be a repeat of history from my parents to then me and my brother. Are you with me? So I think because I left when I was 14 or 15, I got kicked out when I was 10, then 14, 15, something similar happened again. But I'd left all my family when I was about 19, and just my own way, made my own mistakes, learned from them, and then within that, you develop your own good points and bad points. And I think that was it. That was the difference. I just stepped away from those without even being aware. I didn't do it on purpose. I just stepped away, and then I wasn't associated with those behaviors, with those manners, with that kind of person. Sounds quite harsh what I'm saying about them, but yeah, I just wasn't a part of it, and because I wasn't a part of it, I could learn my own way. I think that's what contributed towards just doing it. But as I've got older, I think I've thought about it in some cases a bit too much and not done it enough. That makes sense. Because I'm now aware of that, it's gonna be go time soon. It's gonna be good again.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that sounds pretty nuts. It's like I got like no footing in that whatsoever. Like, are you cool talking about that kind of thing?
Yeah, man, I'm cool. Yeah, we can skim on it.
Yeah, cool. It's like so it's like, okay, so from like the age of 10, you were pretty much on your own. Is that what you said?
Mother was like, go stay with your dad, because I'd been misbehaving. Dad was more of a mate, more of a mate. And then the training side of things just kick-started when we was like, I think EastEnders used to come in at 7:30 on a Tuesday, and then like boom, 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 boom. As the music would start, the electric would go. So what should we do now then? Okay, let's see who can do 1,000 press-ups first. Let's see who can do 500 pull-ups first. Let's just bicep curl the shit out of this bar until your arms are just like, can't do anything. And then by the time I was like 15, 16, like, he was physically strong. Probably could have been a bit better there. But yeah, again, that just comes with being a product of your environment. And that's how it went down, to be honest. And then from there, left when I was about 50. Well, my dad didn't pay the bills, so we had to leave. And again, that as an experience within itself, that molded and shaped that I don't want to be that. So then stepping away from that is even more of a right thing to do looking back now.
Yeah.
That's how it went down to a certain extent.
Yeah, man, that's incredible, because it's so easy to, it's like what you said, man, it's just so easy to just relive those patterns because that's all you know. And
yeah, you get comfortable with being, you get comfortable in being like toxic almost. So you're being comfortable in being not very regulated, and then when you don't know or see no different or better, it makes sense why probably some people in my family are the way or did the things that they did. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But again, it's just everyone's path different. I see it as.
It's like, is that, how did you kind of like know as well that you wanted to step away from that?
You know what? I had no choice, to be honest. I was just kind of told, be on your way, mate. And I think I resented it for a while. And as I got older, I'm glad the cards were dealt the way that were dealt. And then just got better at playing the cards that you were dealt with. But again, it's different situations there. Like, I think perspective on the matter is a massive thing, and having a clear outlook as to what is this showing me? Why is this showing me this? Cool. Okay. I'm cool with that. Let me just step over this barrier and keep it moving. And I think I'm generalizing it a lot and simplifying it, which I think is the right thing to do because it's not time and place to go into it. But yeah, I think knowing what I know now, obviously people will say, I wish I knew then what I know now. But yeah, man, I just feel I'm glad, like appreciating that those cards were dealt, and it is what it is. Hockey crumbled that way.
Yeah, man. Like personally, I just find I find it's amazing that you're able to look at things that way, and just have that. It's like just have the wherewithal to be like, what is this teaching me, as opposed to being resentful and staying resentful, rather, as you described.
Yeah, I think people appreciating the people that show you a different way. Pre-puberty Brown did his way, and so he had that impact to a certain extent. And I just think the more and more you seek the unknown, you begin to know, and that's what happened. To be honest with you. And then I think that's what made me. I think I put in my bio like I've had like 30 jobs or something.
Yeah.
It was just a case of just gonna make them pay your own way from a young age, and then again that's why when I saw Umar like a bit perhaps nervous about UP, but I could see the person that was in front of me and I could see the application in front of me. I think I was like 22 or something, or 23, but I was 100% sure that this chap's gonna get that job, and then when he gets there, he's gonna be amongst the top tier. And then that's what happened. And I think, again, you don't get that insight unless you're dealt a card that at the time seems uncool. But then all of a sudden, looking back, oh, that was a cool card.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, incredible, man. Incredible.
So really, it's really like, it's just a lesson in itself, right? That if say you were to go forward and stop looking at things that way, you know that you're going to end up where you don't want to be, right? Whereas you applied a different method, and I think that's the most impressive thing, is that it's like the same nature versus nurture, right? It's like, you've got two people who've been through a similar experience, but then one chooses to go one way, the other one chooses to stay on the same kind of path, and I think it's so impressive, like, as to like why and how someone can come to this conclusion and somebody else in this very same experience can come to another conclusion, and then they follow it, and then it makes them who they are, right? Yeah, super impressive.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and super necessary too. We'll get it in this week. Super necessary.
It's like we missed it last week, man. We got to get it back.
TJ likes that phrase as well. Super necessary.
Super necessary. Oh man, there's lots about it, because, like you said, like in unregulated environment, and somehow, because what I find impressive is like you just finding that way to regulate yourself when everything around you was kind of unregulated.
I think I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't always like, as a kid, I wasn't always that way inclined. I think it's easy for me to be like that now and say that now because I'm a little bit older. I did like be that product of that being of something that's a product of their environment, if that makes sense. But I think looking back now, it only just gives you more perspective and more knowledge and more kind of awareness to like the same people that dealt those cards. I'm now helping those people. So it's mad. Like my parents, they're like, especially my mom. She's now like she's a client of Umar's. So I got her PT with Umar, and it's like it's mad how we've gone full circle. Because like I could see that rather than resenting anything associated with the history of my history, like why did that happen that way? And then you look into I start when me and I spoke about this. We'll look into like how grandparents had come from another country, and they'd probably have this very traditional caveman life, and they put these children on this side of the world where it's different, but they're trying to keep their old school morals and values, which is fine, and then they're expecting their kids to live in this side, be that side, and be normal or be cool. And I think it's almost like a combination of variables that are unpredictable when you put them together. So I think as we'd gone full circle and I'd gone older, I was like, these people would benefit from help. And so it's mad how tables have turned. And now she's got Mr. Mal as helping her. She's not even aware. That's the worst thing about it. She's just like, I can see now that she don't like. It's mad because she's 25 years older than me, 20 years older than me, and we're talking about how's your sessions going and that, and she's taking a lot from them. But I can see that she's slowly but surely getting there.
That's nice.
It's interesting. I see it. I don't know. This is just an unrelated tangent, but the similarities, because I think I said this to you, like I don't know if you probably see this. If my dad was sat here right now, or my mum was sat here right now, you'd see the things that I copied them with, or the things that I've got. Vice versa. Sometimes it's my mum will copy me with something. You know what I mean? It doesn't always go like top down. Sometimes they can learn from us as well. And I see that there's the wantingness to learn. I've had no experience with TJ's dad, but with his mum for sure. For the last 3 weeks, we've just been kind of slowly breaking the ice and getting into it. The wantingness to learn about health and fitness is deep. It's like, I've read this, and I've read this, and then is this good or is that good or and that those two common factors are there, like plain as day with both of them. And I think that's another side of things, which is like regardless of the life, regardless of the experiences or whatever, just as a standalone thing. I think that just means that that person, be it TJ's mum or be it TJ, is always going to be in a position to help somebody else because they've had the inclination to ask the question in the first place, and that's the valuable person to have around. Somebody who's like willing. You have it. What's that quote that you have on your WhatsApp grid?
If you're afraid to be a fool, then you never become a master.
Yeah, right. And most people would see like me conceding or me kind of asking a question is like, oh, I know less than you. I'm not gonna show you that I know less than you. In fact, it's the other way around, right? It's like the person who kind of walk around with their head on the top. It's like you're trying to play a game. You're trying to fool me to thinking that you're something special. Whereas if you're somebody who's straight in, who immediately puts yourself here and says, well, I'm just here. Like I'm doesn't mean that I'm lower or whatever. I'm just this is where I am. I'd like to ask a question. Immediately, you like set the stage, and that stage is, do you have any knowledge for me? Because I'd like some. That's as simple as that is, right? And with that knowledge, then they can go away and help somebody else. Like TJ said earlier, he's like, I'll learn it on Monday and apply it on Tuesday. And that's the kind of person that, like, obviously we work closely and whatever.
7 days, but a different version.
Say again?
Craig David, 7 days, but a very different version.
We should definitely write that song. That should be the next remix.
You're writing that
should be it.
One day I learn about breathing. Tuesday I learn about mobility. Wednesday I learn about stability. Thursday I learn about strength. Friday I learn about digestion. Saturday was a rest day.
Yeah. And Sunday you got the girl's number and you took her out.
Yeah, man. No, that's I think that's a common ground between both of them, and I think that's training with TJ's mum now. You can see that she has that willingness as well. So I think that's definitely where where it comes from, for sure, man.
Yeah, that's there's always traces. You can see the traces.
For sure.
Yeah, even sorry, man. Even with like, obviously, I've met Umar's mom, and then like I think like after one day, I was like, you don't be giving it spuds, mate. You're as good as you are because of your mom. I can see it. Like it's because of your mom. Does that make sense? And like you can almost see like the awareness, the focus, all these wanting to have attributes people would want to have, and you can see the root of it, and you're like, oh wow, okay, like I didn't get that, but I can see that, and then I can see how this guy's like that. Even with like his mom, like when I go around to his house, we end up talking quite a lot, and like the conversation ends up being a lot more in depth than I would ever anticipate me talking with any one of my friends' moms.
So funny. You started talking about her, and she started walking across the garden. She's like watering the plants. I was like, she can hear you.
Well, let me see what this man's talking about.
Yeah, man. That's really interesting. It's really definitely. I think the link is interesting because we talk about we've had podcasts when we've touched on parents, we've talked about each other's moms or whatever, and that root is definitely there, 100%. Yeah.
You know, like it's weird. I never really thought about it to this extent before. I was having a conversation with my housemate, so like we regularly talk like for ages at length about all sorts of stuff. Because which just like you guys, just like you're talking about any kind of topic. We do the same sort of thing as well. So I'm like super grateful for that because you're just pushing your ability to think. And then when we were talking about, so say like my journey through life, which is different to a lot of the people that I know and knew and hung around with, which is being in corporate environment, deciding that wasn't for me and actually making the decision to leave and start on the career that I'm in now.
What corporate environment was you in?
I was a tax analyst. So I used to work for a holding company doing the UK, starting out like doing UK computations and was going for like the tax exams and stuff like that. Got halfway through them and I was like, I'm not doing well because I just don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And that's what I realized. And but it just took me a little bit of time to long story short, it was just like, I've realized I don't want to do this. I'm going to make a change. I don't know what that is yet. Spend some time figuring it out and eventually realize, I think, I've always been into health and wellness. So maybe I could do this for other people. And then, get into it and then realize, oh shit, there's a ton of different avenues I could take this. And then I kind of went along with the ride and just let it take me where it was taking me, where my interest drew me in. And, kind of here I am today and here it goes on. And then also my brother so I'm a personal trainer who's got an economics degree. My brother is a cake maker who's got an English lit degree, and and we're Indian, so it's not traditional in any sense, right? And it's just like, and we look around our different circles and we just think it's unusual. It's not like that for family, friends of family, even our own friends as well. So if we take the circle and remove it a few degrees, it's still unusual what we're doing. And so then it was like, where does that come from? And it only really hit me last night when I was talking about it. Is like, basically when we're about 4 or 5, when I was about maybe 4 or 5 years old, my dad decided to quit drinking alcohol, like cold turkey, just straight away. And because he realized, like, if I keep doing this, it's not going to be good for the family. And it's only like in hindsight can you tell, because time tells the story, right? The fact that he made that decision and everybody else in his circles and in the circles continued to just follow that path and just keep drinking. It's 30 years later is when you can see the effect of that decision. And he basically made a decision which was counter to the culture that he was in, and he stuck by it. And then it just hit me last night. I was like, oh, maybe me and my bro do that because on that unconscious level, we registered that my dad did something like that, when we were kids. And I never really thought of it in that frame before. I just thought, like, my parents had set us up to basically think for ourselves eventually, and we eventually got there. But didn't realize that there was actually an event that could have marked in us that this is what we're about. And so it was just super interesting to think that. And again, it's the traces of your ancestors basically leaving the mark in a way that you don't really notice, but that could explain why you are the way you are, or help explain it.
For sure, that's a really good point, bro.
Yeah, it's just
so interesting, man. So interesting. Yeah, I can definitely draw parallels. And I mean, TJ, we know I've had this conversation in the past, and he can touch on it if he wishes. But in my perspective, exactly the same, man. It's so weird. Like that's a really sentinel thing. Why did your dad actually say no to alcohol? Why did he just step away?
Yeah. So the story goes that like my dad got pissed at a family get together, and my mum was a new driver, and so she'd like just passed the test and stuff. So she was driving us home, but something happened. I don't know if like she just got basically it like ended up, it was a minor thing. It was like a minor accident, like hit the curb, and I don't know if it was because somebody ran into her or if there was some sort of traffic incident or what, but it was just basically, it was a minor incident, and it just shook my dad up. It shook up my mum and dad, but my dad was like, I've got the kids in the back. I've put my wife in this situation that I shouldn't have put her in because of my actions. Fuck that. I'm not doing that ever again. And that was it. My dad's that kind of guy as well. If he makes a decision, he's running with it, and like hasn't touched a drop of alcohol ever since. And even in the face of people saying to him, "Oh, have a drink. It's fine if you just have one." He's like, "No, I don't want to." And so that's what I'm aware of with the story. And it was just basically, it had a profound. It was a small, in the grand scheme of things, it's a small incident, right? But it's massive because of the implications of it. And again, it's something that you only realize over the course of time. And he just thought, this is not how I want my kids to grow up. I don't want to put my family in a situation where it was my fault if something went wrong, things like that. So I think that's what it came from. And he just went cold turkey and has never looked back.
That's big, man.
Wow, yeah, man. It's huge. It's huge. It's just
deep.
Yeah, the older I get, the more and more I appreciate that, because again, you just learn these things by looking back, and you see his health. He's completely fine. He's active.
How old is he?
He's 62. Yeah, 62.
Like my dad would benefit from a chat with your dad.
Yeah, we'll hook him up, man. We'll hook him up. Honestly, it's like my dad can do an ass to grass squat. Yeah, he's 62 years old, and I said to him, I was like, Dad, there's people my age who can't do what you're doing, right? Like I coached them so that they can do a proper squat again, and you've still retained this somehow. So he's got full function of his joints. He's healthy. He's capable. He keeps his weight. He maintains it. He goes walking.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't think we shouldn't underestimate the difficulty of the skill and how to do an ass to grass squat properly. Like when you say that my dad's 62 and he's done an ass to grass squat, I'm like, shit, man, I only just about did that last week. So the people that see this, like, it's one thing saying it and seeing a form of it, but or a version of it. But like, I'm guessing if you're coaching him or educating him and ensuring it's on point, that's a hard thing to do, especially when it's aligned correctly.
Yeah, completely, man. And it's like, it's not like, I haven't had to say anything to him. I've just seen him just get down into a squat. And I was like, Dad, people can't do that. That was just it. I was just astounded that he was still able to do it. And whereas me, when I started getting into personal training, I spent weeks and weeks working on my mobility so that I could get into a comfortable squat. And like now I can finally, I can retain it, and it's cool. It's all good. So I know the mechanics of it now. But it's just amazing that there's all these like life decisions that have ultimately meant that you could be 62 and do an ass to grass squat, which is a pretty good sign of health, right?
Yeah, man, 100%. I'm with you there, my man. That's and I can just, the reason why I resonate that with so much is because I've had my own like learning that skill properly and executing it to a T. And you're like, yeah, my dad's got that down at 62. I'm like, shit, man, I need to. That's in my opinion, that's like a big thing, because when you hear people like, I'm doing squats today. At first, again, I shouldn't say this too much, because when you would first hear that as a PT, okay, this guy's squatting, cool. But then as you grow a little bit and you learn a little bit and you become more aware, you're like, said you can squat. You're not really squatting there, mate. But
Yeah,
then
exactly.
so that comes with time. So yeah, hearing your old man being able to do that, I think maybe he does deserve a little cheeky little celebration.
We celebrate this by getting down in that squat. That's how we celebrate. That's man. It's I mean, again, it's like it's a. You look back in history and you just think how is it possible to do that? And I think a lot of it is like, okay, moving to this country at 17, and he spent his youth basically being the son of a farmer. So he was out in the fields. He was in that position often. He was wrestling when he was like 10, 11, 12, 13, just like doing all these different things. And whereas kids nowadays, and we are a product of that environment as well, potentially, because they just they're not active. They're not encouraged to be active. The environment isn't there to be active. So you lose that basic skill to be able to do that. Whereas you meet someone like my dad, or if you ever saw him do that, you just think, how is that possible? And then you can probably trace it back to, all right, here's what was right in the environment for that to be possible. And that's what this is the product of that. And that's kind of one of the things that I'm seeing with that is, okay, there was, and also the job that he does as well is like, his construction, maintenance work and stuff like that. So he spent a long time just basically being active on day-to-day basis. That doesn't necessarily preclude him to be able to do that well, because there's lots of people in those lines of work which screw themselves up, always get into back problems because of the kind of positions that they find themselves in. But touch wood, he's been all good, and somehow he's retained that capacity. So big respect, shout out to my dad.
Yeah, man, big one for Mr. Sandu, Senior Sandu.
Yeah, that's it.
Deep in the genes, man. It's deep in the genes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's funny.
There's work for that shit.
Yep. It's
How long have you been a PT for?
Since 2013, April 2013. So it's 7 and a bit years. Yeah, 7 years, 3 months.
Where did you work first?
I started off in Virgin Active. I was
interesting. So how did you find, like going to having a commercial place of work immediately, like almost a corporate place, right? Having that structure, that uniform, be there at 9 a.m. as your introduction to the industry, well, for you to actually do your job. Do you feel that set you up for the rest of your time, helped towards going forward as a PT, as opposing to qualify Monday, go pure gym Tuesday, and be a PT there?
Yeah, I think my path went the way it went. It was the way it was supposed to go in a lot of ways. So for me, it was a very, very good learning ground. So when I stepped in as a fitness coach, like, right at that bottom rung where you're interacting with clients, gym floor, gym members. You're just making sure they're doing all right. They're not screwing themselves up. You're cleaning up the equipment after them, putting away all the kit and everything like that. So it was like, and also considering my background of being somebody who was a graduate salary as a tax analyst, and then being like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to move to something that's minimum wage, and then be there for about 2 years, and then work it up. It was
that within itself is impressive.
Yeah, it is like, I didn't even care about that. It was just, I just want to do the thing that I want to do. That's basically where it came from. And I was just lucky, like, I had people, basically the only people that mattered were my parents and my bro to support me, and everybody else is like, it didn't really matter. It was just, as long as I could show them that I was moving along the right way, then that was fine. And there were definitely, because it took me basically between leaving my job at the end of 2010 and finding the job of Virgin Active, that was January 2012. So it took me 12 months basically to find a job in the industry. So I did a bunch of odd jobs in between, one of them being pizza delivery for the summer of 2011. And
who did you deliver pizza for?
Yeah, I did it for like the local pizza company, like Milano's Pizza.
Say again? You get free pizza?
Yeah, man. I could eat a 9-inch pizza every day if I wanted to. I was like, no, I'm going to leave that for Sundays, Sundays only. And then the guys I worked with were like, what's wrong with you, man? You get free food. I was like, yeah, but you don't understand. I don't want to. I don't want to eat pizza every single day. I mean, the guy who's asking me was about 30 kilos overweight as well. I was like, this is why I don't want to eat pizza every single day.
So you and I have very different definitions of the word food, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I mean, the reason I did it was like, I went in there, I was like, man, I believe in your product. Let me do the job for you.
I love your pizza.
Yeah, exactly. I love the pizza. Man. It was super legit. We would like regularly get it on a Sunday, and it was just like, yeah, I need money. I've got a 125cc motorbike. If he could just set a freaking pizza box at the top of it, I'm set. And then basically the guy ended up feeling sorry for me because I went there about 3 times to ask if I could do pizza delivery for him. And he thought I was just fucking around, right? He's like, what? Who's this well-spoken dude like asking for a job? Because the context is he's basically just got a bunch of immigrants working for him. And it's like 11 dudes from India, right? or Pakistan. And he's like, I'm so confused. Why is this guy asking for a job? Yeah. And so I went back like 3 times and asked him, I was like, you ready to take on another delivery driver? He's like, nah. And I came back like 2 weeks later, you ready to take another delivery driver? He's like, nah. Came back a 3rd time. And then basically, I don't think he knew that I spoke Punjabi, but he just says, he just goes, he basically made the pizza box for me. And the guy who was making it, he just said to him, he's like, oh, you know, this bachata just keeps coming back, basically. He's like, this poor guy just keeps coming back and asking for a job. So I felt sad and I had to give him one. What he said. But I'm there. I understand Punjabi, but I don't think he realized that because he just sees me as this well-spoken brown dude who just grew up here and probably doesn't know how to speak. Fucking hilarious, man. And anyway, so like I ended up doing that, and that saw me through the summer. And then, yeah, a few bits and pieces here and there. And then, I mean, yeah, going back to the like the original thing, which was what was it like going into that commercial environment? It was it set me up well. It was a good learning curve. It was because I had a lot of exposure to a lot of different kinds, a lot of people. Because the company, so I was at Virgin Active Broadgate, which was one of the classic clubs, so like the higher tier Virgin Actives. I was in the heart of the city in like Liverpool Street. So city workers, and there's about 5,000 plus members. I probably saw like 1,000 people going through the doors, you know, on a given week.
Did you work for them, or did you pay? Was it a freelance, or did you get paid by them?
No, you were PAYE with Virgin Active, so you were employed by them. And so yeah, so setting myself up, it was it was a good environment for that because I had a lot of exposure to people, so I could just build relationships and get to know a bunch of people. And so then when I started, and being surrounded by other personal trainers, and luckily there were a handful of really good trainers there as well. So I learned stuff from those guys too, which was super helpful for my transition. And then when I did make that transition, it was kind of like, you know, you're setting your own hours, you're going about getting your own clients, but the clients are from the Virgin Active pool. So it's, you're kind of like working on like, you know, do your own hours, but do it your own way. But you got to still have that corporate thing going on where, you know, every Thursday you got to have a PT team meeting. You got to have one-to-ones with your manager about,
still got to do it their way.
Yeah, you still got to do it their way. Exactly. And then so very quickly, about a year after being there, I was like, if I'm here another year, this is not good. It's not going to be good for me because I got to the stage where after a year, I had like trainers, like fresh trainers coming up to me and asking me how to do a consultation. And I was like, it's way too soon to be considered the expert in the area and in the arena. And I mean, on one sense, it was like, it's great because it's a reflection of me just like accelerated learning, just absorbing information and applying it. Just like what you said, man, is like, learn this shit on Monday, applied it on Tuesday. And it would even be like, a client would ask the question about the thing that I just learned about, and it'll go, oh, great, I get to apply it straight away. So that was something I really loved about it as well. And so, you know, it's a great testament to that. But at the same time, it was like, you know, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And especially if it's 1 year in, it's not great. So then I just started thinking like, I'm going to have to plan an exit over the next year, get some more experience, and then and get that. And it's partly as a function of, there's a high turnover rate at a place like that. It got worse and worse when like management started deteriorating on some level. They were going through a change where they were getting bought out by like a VC company, I think. I can't remember the details of that, but so there was even a stage where when I was basically leaving, there was essentially no one to report to. And so I just kind of slipped through the back door and just kind of left that way. So it was very much an environment of great place to learn. And with the way that things were changing there quickly, it was like, I don't see myself here for a while. I want to do my own thing. And it's like the universe just kind of made it happen, where the place that I wanted to go, if I was going to look up a place, the kind of place to work at, asked me if I wanted to work there. And I was like, this is beautiful. This worked out pretty well.
I think those kind of gym places, I don't think PTs realize, in my opinion, that going somewhere like Nuffield Health or David Lloyd or Virgin as your first introduction to the industry, and I don't mean that from a knowledge point of view, I just mean that from a standards point of view. Like when I had a similar introduction to you, I went to work at Nuffield, and it was like, here's your uniform, be here at 6 a.m. They're just basics, any workplace, they're just basics. But like when you end up being a freelance at another gym where you pay a rental fee, which is fine, but if that's your first introduction, you're not going to be held accountable to the things that, in my opinion, to the standards that should be standard in the industry. And so I'm with you there. So I was curious into asking you why. How did you feel Virgin was?
Yeah, it was just just like good first place to start. Good environment, good exposure to a lot of different people, different kinds of trainers, and then built from there. I wonder, like, there's definitely, I think a lot of it is to do with the kind of person you are and the person you're trying to develop into being, because I think there's people who can go into that model of like, being self-employed straight away and have the discipline to do well, and like the discipline to show up, like, be personable, be there for the client and things like that. But yeah, there are, like, I remember when one of my clients ended up moving away and then hired or tried to hire another trainer. And he was like, I had like 3 appointments set up with this guy and he kept canceling them. And then when he finally did show up, it was like half an hour late. And like, I was like, what the fuck? What? It's like, where's the level of professionalism? And it's just that basic grounding just wasn't there. But I think it's, it's also individual dependent. It's like, if you're going to take pride in what you do, if you're going to enjoy this, if you want to do it well, then have the wherewithal to do that kind of shit and like take it upon yourself to do that. And because there were still people who at Virgin who were just like, they were taking a piss still, and they could kind of slip through the cracks because, like, they decide to not show up to a PT meeting and whatnot. And it just wasn't really like properly tracked or anything like that. So it's still easy to do that. You just have to hide a bit more in that environment. Whereas if you're creating it for yourself, I guess, you can't really hide. It just shows you it just shows who you really are, especially if you're not willing to improve from that.
For sure, man. I agree with that.
It's interesting. It's like I think that our industry is one that definitely needs more guidelines in terms of, like, I know we have like reps, but they're a bit weak, man. I've not really looked into reps. I don't think anyone gives any kind of weight to reps, or I don't even know is that just a UK thing? Do you know?
Reps is a UK thing. They just got bought out by like some other professional register.
Anthony was telling me about this. Yeah. He mentioned this a little while ago.
Yeah, so they've just they've transitioned, and but yeah, it's basically the place that you buy your insurance from, your liability insurance as an individual trainer, and they have their so-called, it is the register. But I don't think anybody who's looking for a PT ever looks at it, and for it to be like, you just kind of have to say you've got industry recognized qualifications, which is, Reps is the biggest company for that. But I've just done so much shit which they don't have any idea what it is, and that doesn't make me any less knowledgeable because it's not on your thing. So it's just like whatever, really. And you can get your insurance from any insurance company who knows what they're doing.
Where did you qualify, TJ?
I qualified with a company called Fitness Industry Education, and I did it so weird. Like, there's a story with this as well. So, I decided that I'm sick and tired of doing every other job apart from the thing that I enjoy. So like Nando's, Primark, Selfridges, Asda, Perfect Home, HSBC, door work, courier. I did all these things, right? And I was like, I kept getting sacked. I was just like, clearly that nothing's not working for me here. Like, I am a problem. I'm clearly a problem. So I remember I was in a slight personal pickle with where I was staying. So like I basically sold my car, which I was kind of sleeping in from time to time. I found this PT course which was pretty cheap. Went to rent a room, and every day I had to go for 6 weeks. I just had to go one of those short crash courses. Now, prior to that, my education in, like, let's say GC, SEP, A-level PE, BTEC Sport, having an entry level to university was okay. I feel like as an entry level PT, I was okay. I was like, had a baseline of understanding. Then passed this course, and I remember like I was so nervous about passing this course because a lot was riding on it. So I went to Nuffield Health and I said to them, "Can I have a job?" And I had no qualifications. And he said, "Can you go and you need to get the qualifications?" And then about a week later, he comes back, the manager, and he goes, "Why don't you?" He must have forgot that I asked him about the job. He comes back again a week later and he goes, "Why don't you just work here? You're always here." And I was like, "So when shall I start? Shall I start tomorrow? Like, just give me the uniform." I was trying to really force it. I was like, "Let's start tomorrow then." And he's like, "No, you need to go and pass." So I go home, get this course, go and do it for 6 weeks. I pass and I come back. And I remember when I passed, it was the first thing I'd passed in terms of like qualifications for ages. And like I was super gassed. I was like, "Wow, I passed something, man. Like, sick. Like, I'm gonna go KFC now, treat myself." That was weird. I passed my PT course and I celebrated with the KFC. So then,
devices, man.
that was the lack of awareness I was at that stage. And then I said, "Here's my qualification. When do I start?" And he goes, "Okay, so next process is the interview." And I was like, "What interview?" I was like, "You didn't mention no interview. You was talking to me like you're going to give me the job today, mate. Like, I'm ready." Like, and because we had that kind of banterish relationship, we could speak like that. And then he goes, "The interview's next week." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." So now I walk to the interview, super hot day, I'm sweating on the way to Nuffield Health. I'm just like, this is going to be a doddle. I know the guy, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to start next week, and finally I can do a job that I enjoy, and I'm not going to get sacked again. So then I got there, and I was uber nervous. So like, I think at this point, I must have had a very high conversion rate from interview to getting the job. And I must have all those fucking jobs. And then so I'm definitely going to get this job. 100% going to get this job. Train here, get on with all the members, get on with the staff. Just a matter of time. Anyway, I was so nervous about getting this job that I stuttered in the interview. I really underperformed. And maybe that was my first stint of real bad nerves, like really placing a real need for this job. So I remember this girl called Lucy, and I could see straight away, like, I'm gonna do it better than her. I'm gonna do the job better than this. But all of these people, I'm thinking I'm gonna do the job better than them. So there's no need for you guys to be here. You might as well just go now. Yeah, like let's call everybody's hour and just, cool. Anyway, I mess up the interview, still thinking because I get on with the guy. I mess up the interview because I'm so nervous. I'm like, so you need to deliver a class, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I was like, shit, man, like there's a lot to do here. I thought this was gonna be a case of turn up, sign the papers, and leave. And then he takes me to one side and he goes, "TJ, I can't give you the job." And I was like, "Why not?" I said, "I've got the qualification. You told me, at first you didn't tell me about no qualification. You just told me I could start. So I'm ready to start." Then you move the goalpost and say I have to get the I understand. I was playing devil's advocate with him. I was like, I need to go get this qualification. I get the qualification. Now I've messed up the interview. I said, I'm really nervous about the financial situation I'm in. I'm banking on this job. Like, you don't understand how much I need those wages in 4 weeks. And he was like, "I can't give you the job." and I was just like, wow, like felt like crying. I was just like, shit, man. Like, my first, I just got blanked, denied. So I went over to Asda over the road, got myself some food. It was a meal deal for £2.50. Went back over to Nuffield, and I said to the manager, I was like, who do I need to speak to get this job? And he was like, the manager. So I speak to the manager, and I've just said, what are the chances of me and someone else? There's only one role. But what are the chances of you guys making a second role? And he goes, it's not in the budget. So I said, what if I add to your budget? He goes, what do you mean if you add to the budget? I was like, what if I make you more money than the budget? Like, you've got more to play with, right? So he goes, what are you saying? So I said, what's the most money anyone's ever made for you guys in their first month for Nuffield Health? And he was like, £1,600. But instantly, I was like, £1,600. I was just like, that's not that much. Like, I was thinking, like, so I was like, I said to him, let's negotiate. And he said, I said, if I beat £1,600, I get the job. If I don't beat it, if I get £1,599, I don't get the job, and you don't have to pay me. So I was like, deal, you got the job. I was like, cool. So I finished the month on like, I think like 2.4 or 2.5.
Wow.
So then, but I'd done their target in the first week. So then, like, all of a sudden, there was, oh, you really was nervous, right? I was like, yeah, man, I told you. Like, I was in a situation, personally, financially, I really needed this job. And then what I learned from Nuffield, very similar to what you learned at Virgin, was just like how to speak to people. You get a shitload of leads, and then you get your own consultation process. You get your kind of your own way of talking with people and identifying needs and providing solutions. And then second month I did more, third month I did more, fourth month I did more, and then all of a sudden I went into the manager's office and I was like, monthly target PT was 7k. That's what their monthly target was. So I was like, so their monthly target is 7k, and I'm doing nearly 3k a month myself. Like, look, these guys are underpaying me. I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm bringing most of the change in. So then that's when kind of the writing was on the wall, because I found it difficult to like, I'm working really hard, like I'm doing 40 hours a week in my first role. And they just were, I remember like I did 2,400 or something in my first month, but my wage was £400.
Yeah.
The way that they tiered it.
Yeah, exactly.
The way that and I was just like, what's all this about? And because I was so honest, so you had to sign your sessions off, and some of the PTs were just signing them off but not delivering them. But I was just like, I'm going to do them and then I'm going to sign them. So then all of us, like month one, because I booked so many people in and I wasn't delivering them more because it was like a knock-on effect. They're booked in for next week and they're booked in for the week after. I wasn't delivering the sessions that I'd sold, so they were keeping the money. And I was like, it's not cool, man. Like, I'm working really hard here. So then going to like team meetings, and like the guy who's earned more money than me, I'm like, how has this guy earned more money than me? Like, he hasn't hardly been here. And I realized what he was doing. He was just signing his own sessions off. So like month one was like £400. And then month two, I went from like 400 to like, let's say, I don't know, 1,600. And I was like, that's a big jump. I was like, yeah, everyone's been coming. I've been signing everybody off. Like. And then, but yeah, I feel like as a PT, like when I went to Pure Gym and I saw a lot of new people Pure, you could tell it was their first job. The circulation of staff was massive. Like I was like, wow, these guys I don't feel they're aware of even how to say hello. Like, they're not even aware like how to approach a client, how to build a bridge, common ground, have the confidence to do that. And like that's when I realized, although Nuffield Health it was a mixed version of events, like high and low, they taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like most PTs would benefit from a company like that in their first role, as like the structure, the guidance, the constant leads that they keep pumping your way. You don't have to worry about tax. You don't have to worry about being self-employed. You don't have to worry about nothing. You just got to turn up and embody the role of a personal trainer. And I think PTs miss that now because they go straight, I want to earn £25 an hour. I want to earn £35 an hour. And I'm like, me and him, I had this chat the other day. I was like, I don't think I was even worth £30 an hour like, at some points in my PT career. And I think when they go straight to freelance, not all of them, some of them, they create their own. I think they end up being a bit deluded.
Yeah, it can happen for sure. Yeah, just yeah, go ahead, man.
Working in so many gyms, I was talking, so how's PT going? Like, yeah, man, I only need to do 4 sessions today. I was like, okay, cool. I'm charging this much. I'm like, wow, charging this much. I'm like, hey, you're charging that much? I'm like, shit, man. Like, you're charging that much, and you're not like, you can't even. They're not even walking straight. How are you charging that much? And I think when me and Umar, when Umar came back from London, we had a couple awkward conversations. It was just like, PJ, level up, be more, do more, learn more.
Right.
Basically saying, you're shit, mate.
You're shit, mate.
So I was just like, I'm looking at it.
That's epic, man.
I'm playing this guy on like Mr. Regulator, yeah. Like he has a and I'm looking at. I'm like, shit, man. He just became super unregulated. Like
he just told me how it is. I wasn't expecting that.
Like, I've never seen this guy before. Like, what's happening here? This is like a new. And then I think when you need to have friends like that tell you as it is, and then like I remember like he was talking to me a couple of things when we first started, and I started learning a bit more recently. And I remember like he was talking. I was like, what? I'm gonna do like cool. I don't know what the fuck he's on about, but like, but I understand now. I'm on the same page. Just thought I'd put that in there.
That's big respect, man. That's really interesting.
Exactly. Massive respect. That's got to be fired up, man. It's like just walking in there. It's like, what's it going to take to get this job? Like, you can do this. You can do this.
Even after that,
that's fucking epic.
When I left there, I went to Pure, and like I had like this massive client base. I was doing like 40 sessions a week, and I said to the manager, I was like, "Can I have a job here?" And he was just like, "Well, there's a process." And I was like, because I'd had so many jobs by that point, I was like, I know this process more than you, mate. Just give me the fucking job. I was like, give me the job, mate. And he was just like, I remember like he was talking about. I think I know he was talking to you about KPIs, like key performance indicators, and like he said, "Do you know what KPIs are?" And I was just like, "Yeah, they're your target." And he was just looking at me like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "I can help you hit your target. You know, like I do that. That's what I'm good at. Give me the target." So anyway, he gave me the job, and then Pure Gym came, and Pure Gym was interesting. Don't you think, Umar?
It was. To be honest, I remember not very little of it, but I remember like just it was such a in between thing for me, because UP was the thing for me that was like, this is my goal. Like this is just a stepping stone. I'm getting there. But I think you probably remember that time better.
Yeah.
Did you leave Nuffield and go straight to Pure Gym?
No, I went Nuffield, then I went Click Lifestyle Fitness, which is now the gym. And
really?
Same process there. I was like, guys, look, I got 30 clients, 40 clients a week. Just tell me when to start. I'm ready to go. You don't.
Yeah.
And I started. I wasn't very good at that stage. I certainly wasn't worth the money that I was charging, if I'm entirely honest with myself. And then when I went to Pure, I went to Pure because I just didn't get on very well at Lifestyle. Then I went to Pure, and I remember how Pure concluded. So like my manager, I don't know if he listens. I don't give a shit if he listens to this. I'm gonna say it.
I was about to say his name there.
I remember like he was uber unreasonable, man. Like this guy, my middle ground with this dude. I was like, I remember he wanted me to work New Year's Day, and obviously everybody's been celebrating New Year's Eve. I was just like, no, I'm not doing it. I was just like, you do it. He was like, I was like, what? And then he was literally, we kept, there was loads of things that were going back and forth. And then I think he was just like, I don't think this is working. And I said, yeah, I think you're right. And it didn't last long there either, to be honest. But again, still had a client base, fortunately for me. And then I went to another place, and then that's when Umar went UP. I went to the other place, and we had our little bet, had our little competition. And then, and then left that place, went to another place, left that place, went to another place.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot in these places. So I'm glad that I went to every single one of them.
And now you're opening up with Umar, yeah?
It's just experience, isn't it? It's just experience. It's like the subtext to all of that stuff. It's like somebody can look at that and be like, oh, hired, fired, hired, fired, hired, fired, hired, left, hired, left, hired, left. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Like that what that means is like you look at all these like global CEOs, freaking none of them went to uni, none of them went to college, some of them have a story similar to yours, TJ. And it's like, as long as you're learning something from the process, you can go through any process. You can literally be like, and in your story, like I'm like I said earlier, I'm privileged enough to know your story at a deeper level, right? It's akin to all of these guys. It's akin to some of them. It's better than some of their stories, right? But the thing you need is just to go through shit and then learn from it. 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 It doesn't matter that you were sacked. It doesn't matter like kind of that some guy at Pure Gym thinks that you're not good enough to work at his gym. Fuck that guy. Doesn't mean anything.
In line with learning, I think I could tell you. I think Field was good at structure. Nuffield was good at giving people leave. Field had a bit more input on developing their people. Nuffield had to be. They're a commercial gym. There was like all about well-being.
Health, right?
Yeah, health. Pure, they had good like measures in place. They had to have good measures in place because the place was so big and they had like 5,000 people. So like the way that they delivered classes compared to Nuffield, in my opinion, was better. So then when I had to go to another gym to deliver classes, I was basically taking what I got from Nuffield, taking what I got from Pure, put my own little spin on it, and then like was delivering from all these gyms that I've worked at. But Pure did really good. I don't know if it's really good. What do you think? Remember we had to do the what's that word called? The induction thing.
Yeah.
Pure had so they would make targets that were just pointless. Like it wasn't pointless, but I don't think they
do you know what? With these targets and stuff, I never did one, bro. I never did one. I never ever saw. This is what TJ is really good at. Is that I was so hard headed that I was like, I could do better than this. Get rid of this shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this person around. I'm gonna tell them how to do lunges. I'm gonna tell them how to do squats. I'm gonna tell them how to do dead. I was like, and it was too much for the person. Usually it's too much for the person, but because I'm so enamored with it, I'm gonna be like, I don't need to learn this. I'm throw that away, right? But TJ is somebody who's like, actually, I'm gonna stick in this realm. Stick to this script. I'm gonna lead it. I'm gonna get the most from this sponge. Leave it on the floor after it's done. Then go pick up a new sponge and then squeeze that one as well. Whereas, honestly, I can't. I think I did like two, and then even when I was working at the gym, it was just my own spin on it, and I never really gave it any weight. Thinking back, maybe I definitely should have now, but the way I look at myself in this like gym industry thing is that if
I'm doing it my way,
I was like, but the reason I was doing it my way was because like when you met me, I was like, I'm reading up Charles Poliquin, I'm reading up kind of these people that I'm reading on T Nation, reading all these things that people like kind of out there getting results, and Nick Mitchell and kind of all these people. I'm like, they're better than Pure Gym people, and that's the wrong way of looking at it. I should look at it like I'm at Pure Gym, I should do Pure Gym stuff. I'm at the gym, I'm sure it should be the gym stuff. But because I was so like enamored by the leaders and by the like people actually making waves, I'm like, no, let's just teach that stuff. And to my credit in some ways and my discredit in some ways, that was my way of doing it, and be like, no, don't need this shit. Go to the best and forget the rest.
It was so weird as well because like I was like hearing Umar say that now, like, I didn't really do it. I think I was like almost, if I don't do it, I might get in trouble.
Oh, okay.
This guy just didn't give a shit. He's just like, if I get in trouble, cool. Like I'm going anyway. Whereas I had an existing client base, and I think also maybe living by yourself. I was doing by myself at that point, and I think the need to keep it moving. Does that make sense? I think like that played a massive part. But I think what Pure did good, those targets that they gave us. So from a business point of view, they was using it as a engagement tool and then a potential retention tool. So like they'd have their classes, you need to get 27 people in the classes. And if you've got 27 people in the classes, that means 27 people are going to the gym. That means 27 people are not leaving. That means you're engaging. Maybe not servicing them optimally, but Pure, they don't give a fuck about that. They're just like, get the numbers through the door. Get it in. So I'm just like, well, I'm about numbers. We're both about numbers, Pure Gym. Let's do this. Umar comes along and he's just like, this is why we didn't talk too much in the first day, mate. Like,
I'm listening to this. Remember earlier in the chat, you said like there's things that I've said to you recently, like just gone over your head. Remember we had that chat and you said this to me. You said it's a retention tool, and I was like, what? Like I don't know what that means. I don't know what retention tool. I don't give a shit about classes, about hi Susie, how is like who's here, who's in the class. I don't know nothing. That's where I have zero awareness, zero willingness.
That's so
which is
funny,
a bad thing.
man.
I want to make this clear. Right? I'll make this clear. Don't be like me.
That's right. I thought you knew. Shit, man. I've been pointing.
But this is the thing: is that I thought I knew too. That's why I was like, nope, don't need that shit.
Oh,
but
God.
clearly, if I played that game too, I would have known more. That's my fall down. Is that I could read Charles Poliquin, but also respect the class. Right, that's the win here. Right, and what I'm realizing, why you keep shouting up this, and why you keep because it is. I can't just kind of disregard the current state of play and be like, no, I should just plug in my own one, because who's to say that I know best, right? I'm doing that out of ego. I'm doing that out of like kind of I'm just going to do it my way. I'm just going to do it my way because it works for me, and I think I can get results this way. And I think I did get results. I think I've always been a result producing trainer. I look back at like some of the results I got at Pure Gym before even UP, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. But that should not have got to my head to the point where I just completely broke it off with any kind of like retention tools, KPIs. I never knew nothing about this stuff, and that's where you've been like, oh, this is how the game is played. Let me learn how to play the game this way first. And that's to your credit, because now you've taught me it.
Thank you for that, by the way. That's the first time you've done that. Wow.
Never been aware of it. happening here and now, man. Happening here and now. Just leveling up. Remember that G from last week, just breaking the new person and coming out.
Yeah, man.
Next week I'll be aware of KPIs, bro.
It changes every week, man.
That's really interesting, bro, because I saw that with those guys straight away. You know, when there's making, I was like, why do they make us do a register? They want a record of who's coming. They want to see how many people are coming. Why are they feeding back our classes?
I'm laughing because all I was thinking was like, I don't need to know your name. I just need to know whether your knee goes over your ankles or not. Does that happen? Like, does that happen? Tell me if that happens. If that doesn't happen, can you brace your core? Do you know what tempo is? Like, do you know who Charles Poliquin is? Can I teach you about him? Like that was like, this is how I help you.
But that within itself, in my opinion,
oh, amazing.
That's the bread of it, right? The bulk of it.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. But I think what I was missing was I was so deep in these freaking, and I've still got some of the books here that I know I was reading at the time, right? I'm so deep in this stuff that I'm missing the wood for the trees, right? I've got to do what you're doing. I've got to take the register. I've got to say good morning. I've got to get that. And I did do that a bit, but I didn't do it enough. And I didn't respect that process enough. But it's like, that's a gateway to doing this stuff eventually. What I did was I found dedicated people who kind of like was able to look me in the eyes. And I always had quite serious clients that kind of met me on that level, which was like, yeah, we want to achieve shit. We want to kind of get things done. And yeah, I just kind of played that game. Whereas you understood the game they were playing, to your credit. And you've added that as a cap to as a feather to your cap. Yeah, it's interesting.
But these
That's
things,
amazing, man. It's like
these things help you to be, in my opinion. They give you an awareness, like when you go to another workplace. And I feel like when you go to another gym to be a PT, whether it's like a independent, small one-man band kind of gym, when you go there and everyone's doing a massive, great thing in these smaller gyms. Like, hats off to them. But you can see the lack of like structure, thought process behind how to communicate with their people. And then if they can't communicate with their people, they're not going to be able to engage and service them properly. And then all of a sudden now, unless you've got Charles Poliquin book readers like yourself, you're going to get, I'm not going to say any names, but you're going to get other PTs that we've worked alongside. And it's going to be Monday. It's going to be Monday and they're thinking it's Wednesday. And like, then they've got to deal with the humans. Then they've got to like identify it. Like, they've got to help people and they've got to take them through a training session, go through a consultation, prime them properly, prepare them properly, execute it properly, and then conclude it properly. And like I said, they won't even know what day is. So like it's just an interesting industry.
Yeah, man. That's what kind of comes down to, like that standards in the industry. Well, that's literally where we started this kind of tangent, was like reps and not having like a what's the word? Minimum requirements to be a good PT. Like like you're saying, what day a week is, know how to take a register, all these basic things that we now know, right? But it's so important. It's so important. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Super interesting.
Yeah, and like you guys, I mean, I could see it. It just makes so much sense that how you guys are working together now is like, because you're going to be making you got the gym that you're building together, basically, right?
So we're working on behalf. We're working with the landlord on this, right? So it's we're just in a position to now action on it. To now action on this guy. This guy's got an opportunity. He knows us through the own channels, and then we're just working on making our own version of this. And obviously we're not like the be all end all. We're not the owners or anything, but I think we'll be able to work in this place and kind of set the standard. we'll set a standard that we think is more appropriate for the industry that has helped us in many ways, helped us kind of help our families, and obviously like it's given back to our why. Back at the end of the day, like TJ, there's a reason why TJ wants to be in the fitness industry. There's a reason why I want to be in the fitness industry. Like there's a reason why you, G, like you've told your story about kind of being a taxman and hating it, and then it's about that. It's about kind of our opportunity to make something different now. You know what I mean? So I think is that resonates with a lot of people being quite frustrated in their workplaces, being quite stuck, and that can be in so many different ways. Like kind of TJ was stuck in different ways to the ways I was stuck in when we met at Pure Gym. It presented in different ways as TJ's way and my way presented in totally different ways. But now, lucky enough, we're kind of gone away and come back and gone away and come back and kind of played tennis with it, as TJ says sometimes. And now we're kind of at a place where we can just be on the same team.
I think even with that as well, like, you know, I think within industry, like sometimes, again, I'm just talking about experiences here, so if it's not your experience, it is what it is. But I feel like sometimes when you come across a gym environment and you're wanting to work with people, really want to help people and impact people, I feel like Umar's going to be good at a whole bunch of things that I'm not that good at. But I don't care really. I'm glad that I'm working with him. But yeah, let's not use him. I'm glad I'm working with that person that is on that level, that is learning, that is applying themselves. But I feel like not all the time, but like in some of my work experiences, that like PTs miss the point as to why they're actually in the building.
Yeah.
And the building is to help people. And if someone's doing a better job at that than you are, rather than feeling small about it, let's meet in the middle about it. And, you know, let's be adults and let's respect and nurture and appreciate and express some gratitude towards the situation. And it won't be long before you're delivering those kind of results. Are you with me?
Big time.
And I think that's one thing I found in my friendship with Umar. But I've also think it's a reason why I've left so many places. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think eventually you find the place where you fit, or you make the place that you fit. And so yeah, man, I feel we're very extensively qualified in this industry, Mr. Malik, and good times are coming. And for you, Bran.
Yeah, boy.
Too right.
Gotta roll with the punches, man. Whatever's coming our way, with whether it's pandemic or not, just gotta make some shit happen.
Even with the pandemic, man, Umar, like I remember when the pandemic came about, Umar was just like, I was like, how's PT going? He's like, yeah, good. How about for you? Yeah, it's okay. And he was just like, do you think? He was like, do you think you can be better? Basically, you're being shit again, mate. Like,
he's like just forcing you.
Yeah, and I remember like the first time he said it, like I was just like, wow. You know, because you know, like sometimes you need to hear that.
Yeah,
like,
man.
You need to hear that, man. Like, I think he's when we spoke about what PTs charge, like some charge 30, some charge 40, some charge 50 or 60, and then like you apply it to yourself. And I said this earlier, I'm just like another human. So when someone pays me for PT, yeah, like I'm gonna really try my hardest to deliver on that transaction. Like I feel that like when you've had no money, and then all of a sudden people are paying you really well for your services, if they have goals to do some dips or do some where I can help them, I'm gonna literally like squeeze the living daylights out of that sponge, because I feel like if £40 an hour isn't enough of a motivation prior to that, like you're wanting what training's done for me, how it's helped me, and I feel like it's so easy to cross that over to other people. It just fits like a glove. And one thing that Umar pushes a lot is, are you worth it? Really, like not in there or thereabouts. It doesn't say that, but it's like charging this much, TJ. Like you should know this. This is basics. So I'm glad I have that in my corner, because I haven't always had that. And I think the more and more people get uncomfortable, then they become comfortable for the right reasons. Make sense?
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it. That's interesting, because we talked about this recently, and like where you touched on it earlier in terms of where does that come from, and I can definitely just point back to my parents, man. They're such like taskmasters, And that's the best way I can put it, is they're just like, I remember leaving school and then going to pick my sister up from her school with my mum, and my mum wanting to do like multiplication sums on the way there and be like, just this plus this, or this times this, or this, and I'm just like, as a kid, you're just like, I've just finished school, like leave me be, right? I don't want to do this. And then like getting there, reading like Harry Potter or something, and me just being completely like, my brain is off now. I don't want to play anymore, right? And I'm getting words wrong, and she's like, and just like giving me that, and I'm just like, what, man? But you can't until my sister comes out of school. Until that happens, I have to be there reading, right? And that's just instilled in me. Now all that really is, the subtext of that is, my mom wants me to be better, and that's like, it's never going to be a bad thing for me. Like, I look at my dad in this relationship, and my dad's never expected anything from me, and that's cool. It's nice. Like, as a parent, like, you don't want to make your kids fit like your mold. Like, I'm sure TJ won't want his kid to look exactly like him and wear his hair like him and wear his clothes like him. He'll want him to be his own kid. Like, obviously all of us would want the same thing, but you do need a certain level of expectation from this human being, and that's what I think I got from my mom. And then I'm like, okay, I think I've applied it with a bit of my dad's way, which sometimes comes across as, I'm the tallest person in the room, and you're going to know about it. And I think that sometimes it isn't the way. And I obviously he's done it for his own reasons, and his dad did it for his own reasons. But it is a Malik thing in a way, because we genuinely, I think genetically, sometimes we're a bit taller, we're a bit like, kind of, our heads are fucking this big. But I mean, like, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I think just expecting more of the people that you're around is a form of love in a way. It's a form of like, I want you to be better. I want you to know this, because I know that me knowing it helps me. So you do it also, right? And that's the same thing as my mom doing it to me, same thing as me doing it to TJ doing it to Shrill, right? And that's the way that everybody gets better, right? It's and you do it with me, right? You rang me up one week and was like, should we do a podcast? And we're like, yeah. And here we are, 15 weeks later, right? It's just sick.
Yeah. Exactly.
I do think it's really cool what you guys are doing with this. I saw the other one with the powerlifter.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, with Grace. Yeah,
Grace.
I think with Grace, I thought her like insight and like about failure, and like just basically making it part of the process, and like still going hell for leather, still being good. So it was really good. Really good.
Cool, man.
And about Umar's mum as well.
Thanks, man.
Umar invited me around to come around on Eid one day. So I've never experienced this kind of celebration or anything like this. Not in my own religion, let alone somebody else's. But then, like, when I went to his house, I remember, like, quiet, just saying hi and being polite to everybody and enjoying it for what it is. And I was just like, wow, man, your mum's like on it, hey, like, she's a proper special lady. And then I realized in that moment, I think I told him as well, I was like, your mum's the root, if that makes sense. Like, you could see Umar, this big 6'2", 100-kilo specimen.
Yeah.
Carries himself the way he carries himself, does what he does the way he does it. But you can see like the nurturing, the education, the motherly impact that she's had, and it was just quite like, oh wow, I haven't seen that, but now I've seen it. I haven't experienced that too much myself. But when you see it from someone else, it's just like, oh, like that's how it's done. Like, you can lead by example. You can be that person, and the next person in line will pick it up, and they'll go and carry it out. So yeah, I think it's, again, good people's.
Yeah, man. Respect. That's
Appreciate it.
That's also insight, man. It's like when you realize that leading by example is what's going on. It's just you have to have your eyes open to do that, to see that. Because I've realized that with, say, with my parents, for example. Just if I was in like early to mid 20s, even pushing into late 20s, I just didn't like. I think the level of appreciation will continue to rise, but at that time, I didn't realize just like how they were just showing me the way, with just by doing and being, and it's mad. It's unbelievable, and I just realized it, and it's just it's more and more appreciation grows the more I realize that kind of thing as well, and just seeing it. And because like little things like I think I said it in one of the podcasts, Umar, was when in a way, like it's like just one sentence and I got an insight into doing why, like understanding why I do what I do. And like my mom got asked for advice basically from a family friend, and it was struggling with like she's Muslim as well, struggling with her faith in the sense that it's like, I believe, like I want to practice it my own way, essentially. Like I want to, but everybody does it a certain way, and I want my kids to grow up in a certain kind of way. And I just feel like, maybe the environment isn't there and it's not going to be living up to what I need for them. And my mom just said, well, create it yourself then. And, that was a big shift for that person. And I was like, that is such legit advice, and it was like, oh, that's the kind of shit that I tell people all the time, and it wasn't like it was obvious that my mom and my dad they weren't like saying these kinds of things to me and my bro, but they were just living it. And like, and then as we grow up, we have these conversations about, what we've observed in life and things like that. And then that comes out. I'm like, man, a lot of the shit that I do is starting to make a bit more sense. And there's a lot for like, so it makes me more curious about, like tracing back the ancestry to some degree. Looking back is like, okay, what were my grandparents like? And what influences did my parents have, which mean that I am the way that I am? And like, how is my dad the way he is compared to other people in his circles? Like,
go on. I'm just smiling because I'm thinking of conversations we've had. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, go on. That's it. No, that's the point. Is like, hearing that kind of sentence, and then also some other conversations I've had with my parents. Is like, okay, yeah, it makes sense where where I'm coming from. Where is like genetics. It could be like nature and nurture as well. At the end of the day, is both of them. And but it's just product of your environment and the people that you're surrounded by the most. And luckily, I've had a good footing from a very young age. And what was your conversation?
Yeah, no, just the point on genetics, right? I remember like I think I heard this on a podcast ages and ages ago. It must have been like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, a long time ago. And it was basically like somebody saying it's probably one of the biggest compliments you can feed somebody is saying you've got good genetics, because you're not just complimenting that person, you're complimenting 10 generations of their family, 20 generations of their family, right? And you basically saying that your forefathers, four mothers, I don't know if that's a thing, but your four people were the ones that went and got it, went and made it. Like the advice that your mom gave, your mom's friend gave your mom, go and create it for yourself. And that's it's like almost like this core band of people that were like the first people, and then a couple of them actually went and did it, and we're hopefully a product of those people. You know what I mean? That's the way you kind of look at it. And no matter, obviously we're all the same, right? We're all the same family at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Yeah, it's really interesting, man. Really, really interesting. I think TJ, if you want to get into it, your granddad springs to mind, in the sense that is that what you were thinking?
It was, yeah. When you was and I think when you talk about your granddad, I was just like, yeah, like how. So my granddad he was in the Indian Army, and he came here, and he was just. I remember seeing him as a kid, right? He was only short. It's weird because all the kids are quite tall, and he's just dead short, and he was just vascular as hell. I remember like seeing him. He had like abs when I was a kid. He was padded in veins. He was just a strong, short, small man. And then I didn't realize, like, my dad's not that. My dad's not the same as my granddad. And I figured it. I think I know why. So basically, when you come from the army, working in factories, foundries, whatever it is my granddad did, when I lived with him as a kid, he would walk everywhere. Like I remember, like he would. Like I didn't have much to do with him early childhood, but then I went and had to live with him for a bit, and like I experienced like old school, and it was like an eye opener. Like we'd go, for example, every so often he'd be like, right, we're gonna go to town today. So I'm like, cool. The first day, thinking I go stand by the bus stop. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, we're going to town, right? He's like, no, we're walking.
Amazing.
And I'm just like, okay, cool. Go to town, go to the buses, and on the way back he'll stop in at B&Q, get a plank of wood or whatever he wants to get from B&Q. And I'm like, we're definitely catching a cab back now. There ain't no way this dude's going to be walk by like this. Then he's like, right. So he's just like, you hold the bags, and I'm going to hold the plank of wood. So he's holding the plank of wood like here on his shoulder. It's raining. It starts to like spit down. So I'm like, this guy's definitely going to wait in the bus stop now. We're definitely going to wait. He's like, no, we're going to continue all the way home. And then I think in line with genetics and grandparents and, almost appreciating what they did and why they did, and that's put you to have that genetic background, he lived a very balanced life. My granddad did. I feel like he ate just a balanced amount. If he drank, it was never excessively. If whatever he did, it was balanced. Other than being active, that was a bit more than balanced. He'd do that a bit more. Then you bring my dad's generation, right? And they wasn't balanced. Like they're not regulated. And then all of a sudden, I come along, and I feel like I get a little bit of deregulation, lack of regulation from my dad's side. But then prior to that, I get a little bit of my granddad's like genetics, so to speak. And then you put all together, and you have a product of just like good and bad bits of everything. When my granddad died recently, about 6 weeks ago, now he died. Nurse was saying that like he's in really good nick, he's in really good condition. I remember like even on his like deathbed, like when he was dying, he was like in shape. He was. I was just like, shit, I'll be happy to be in that shape when I'm 97 years old. So I think in that with like genetics and I think your habits and your lifestyle, it made sense to me now why this guy walked for 2 hours there. He walked 2 hours back. He'd carry stuff. I thought he was just being tired. Probably was being tired. But like he was like, it's gonna keep me fit, it's gonna keep me strong, it's gonna do all these things for me. And then I now look at my dad, the complete opposite. Don't walk anywhere. And like there's huge difference. And I think whatever upbringing my granddad had and whatever upbringing my dad had, obviously the two different upbringings and two different people, two different results. I'm seeing what was productive for my granddad, but not so productive for my dad. And then it's just like, I can see that for my granddad, I'm going to do that. I can see that for my dad. I'll do a little bit of that, but not too much of that. Does that make sense? And I think you are. I'm glad my granddad gave me some decent genetics.
Yeah, man.
Too right.
Gave you some good lessons there as well, man.
Yeah, man. It took me a while to figure it out. I was like, why is this guy making me walk everywhere, man? What's his problem? It's just like, there's no need for this. Like, and then I realized it was just like, and it was a far walk. It wasn't no short walk. It was like, I'm trailing, and he's leading the way. I'm younger than him. I should be like way ahead of him, and he's like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I was like, shit, man, this guy's gonna get angry in a minute. But they're just like good lessons that you're not aware of at the time. And then looking back, I'm like, okay, that's why this guy was that.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you think like if someone like that was running the country or running like had a bit more responsibility of people around him, like a tribe or like a community, or like he was a mayor or a governor or like something else, people would have their shit together, man. People would seriously have their shit together.
Where'd you say this, Umar? So, like, you know, like how running the country and like people have their shit together. So like I had this chat with someone yesterday.
Oh yeah.
So everyone's at home there, right? Well, then what? Let's say 6 weeks. Everybody's at home. Imagine if I'm going off tangent a little bit, but like imagine like Boris pays the leading experts in the UK. They can give all this furlough money. They can make whatever money. They can print whatever money they want. So let's just say they set aside a small budget of, let's say, £100,000 for 3 experts in stress management, mobility, movement, digestion, all these things that are going to be compromised now by being in lockdown. And then Boris is like, every Monday at 9 a.m, we're going to have a national class on BBC One. And I'm going to get the most qualified human in the UK to deliver it. And then everybody, if you want to move, make best of the situation, let's be there at 9 a.m. There'll be another one at midday. There'll be another one at 6 p.m. And there'll be another pre-bed one, because a lot of people struggle with sleep. There'll be another pre-bed one at, let's say, 9 p.m. Imagine how much it would be a different country. And like, in line with someone running it, I don't mean to be telling Boris how to do his job, but like...
Damn. Take notes, bro. Take notes.
I just think, like we've been working with people on a ground floor level, and like the amount of people are like, "Oh, my sleep's way better, and this is way better. My back doesn't hurt as much." And I'm just like, "This is really basic." Like, sorry, do you have a chat, mate? We can meet up for a coffee and like share opinions. I don't know. I just feel like in terms of people being healthy and optimal through these unusual times, I don't think the running of it was very good.
No.
Yeah. Just got no idea, man. Just making fucking decisions on a whim. Everything's just a bit of theater. It's like, there's virus spreads over 2 meters, but you are now safe to interact at 1 meter. It's like, what the fuck are you saying? You know, it's just like, it makes no sense. So it's like, they just don't know what they're doing. And I'm down with that idea as long as it's not stipulated as compulsory classes, because then we're in a communist regime.
That's right. I didn't even think of it. I think, you know, just give people the option.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta have the option. That's it.
Like you could have
a picture like how the telly just flicks over whatever you're watching.
Yeah.
All the channels are our TJ just
exactly. Even yeah. It's like you're looking at your phone and it just flicks over at 9 a.m. It's like, oh, there's TJ. Like, I did not sign up for this.
Time to breathe.
Yeah.
It's gonna help you move. And I feel like, I don't know. I just feel the whole thing with lockdown and Corona, it's just like madness.
Yeah, man. It's I mean, how many different ways can we talk about that kind of thing? It's like, it's just not prevention is not the idea. Like, they just don't give a shit about that kind of thing. It's like whatever.
This is just like the place my mind's going. What you just said, TJ, is like the stage is set. You know, I mean, we're hopefully going to have lives as long as your granddad's, right? So we got 70 odd years. Why can't we figure this shit out, right? We can figure this shit out to be like, okay, constituents of Odeby, you're about to get your lives changed, right? So we'll start with you guys. We'll convince you that we know what we're doing, and then after that, we're gonna go pretend down the street. And we're gonna show you guys too, right? And that's what it's about, isn't it? It's like on this big scheme, like you came into my life, helped me, vice versa in some ways. Grin, 15 weeks later, helped each other, right? Just proliferates and grows and spreads and whatever, right? So I mean, what you're saying is such a whole help, right, for the whole UK, which is clearly the loser in. If there was a league table, we're getting relegated, right? We're getting relegated to like we're out. You know what I mean? Like we just put a dome over the UK and be like, you're done, leave that thing, because we lost, right? Everybody else, we got the most deaths, right, in the whole world, isn't it? Like per space or whatever. Where ours is like terrible. I'm probably getting that wrong, but I don't know. In terms of Europe or something, I don't know. I think we're leading. Yeah. So clearly the need for what you've just said is the highest here.
And I was just basing that on my client. Like, you know, if I've had any new clients lately, like how's your sleep, how's your stress management, how's your digestion, how's training, and what have you done? And obviously you'll assess them and you'll see like internally, externally movements are just limited as hell because you're just sitting at home doing nothing and watching TV. And then I'm just like, and then within a week, I'm not saying that they're 100% fixed or anything like that, but there's certain progress. And I'm myself, I am at basic level with this, and this person is also in need, and we're working together, and there's progress here. I just feel like, imagine if this was available on a wider scale, because there'd be people that wouldn't even be aware, they wouldn't even be aware of perhaps a situation or like some people are like, I've had a shit sleep for years. I'm like, okay, and how do you feel about that? And they're like, oh, it is what it is. And I'm like, and I've been that guy, you know, like, I had really bad sleep. So I think maybe we should tag Boris in this bit of the podcast.
Yeah. It's like the thing is, it's like that's a classic example of it as well. It's just had so say, for example, there's another subset of people there as well. Like, so I've worked in the City of London. Is like high flyers there in the sense, like city workers, like, you know, lawyers, bankers. These dudes are just like, you know, all about that paper, want to live that high flying life, and there's a intrinsic like competitiveness there as well to reach the top. So it's not like these guys aren't high performers. They're basically athletes for the city, right? It's just a different kind of athlete. And but, you know, the sleep is shit, the nutrition is shit, they don't move, and they don't know that these things are going to have a direct impact on their level of performance. And because they don't know that, is because relative to everybody else, they're still performing really well. So if the awareness isn't there, you don't know what you've got to fix. So it's kind of like, it's up to us as well to be able to speak to people in a certain way where they're like, oh, wait, I didn't realize that was this much of a problem. And I didn't realize that I actually needed the solution. So you just have to, we've got to make it aware. So there's also the other side of that is like, okay, if we did have like that national class and it's an optional thing, then how many people are actually going to show up to it? You know, how many people are actually the ones who really need it? How many of them are going to show up to it? Is like, it'll probably be more people like us or just the level below who aren't PTs but are fitness enthusiasts and realize, yeah, this is a good thing for me. So it's just there's that question there as well.
With regards to the who would turn up for it, I think would you shift awareness and perspective in the right direction, even 10%, 5%?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
They're gonna feel it. They're gonna feel, again, just talk contact. They're gonna feel bear breaths. They're gonna feel crocodile breaths. They're gonna feel just better. They're gonna feel like better, less pain. Like, I've got a lady who just messaged me now and like, update, no pain, sleeps perfect. And I swear she's been no gym. We obviously had no gym. And I was just like, there's a whole bunch of people that, including myself, that like tick that box. And I just think need to really be about it and do about it. And the platform perfectly for me was the government. I just thought, instead of like, I get it, being real and telling people facts, which is actually scaring people, which is again lowering frequencies. I feel that if we was to flip the coin a little bit and be like, right, guys, if you want it or you don't want it, I'm going to help you sleep. As England, we're going to have better sleep. And if we have better sleep, we're going to be more productive the next day. I'm going to do this the next day. And it has a knock-on effect. And let's say Umar does it one day and I don't do it. Then he tells me about it. I'll be like, yeah, I'll see you at BBC One at 9 p.m, bro. I'll see you there. And we'll do the same thing. And then the next morning we'll be like, yeah, well, I had really good sleep, you know. I'm like, yeah, that was a cool thing to do. Like, and then he might tell his neighbor and then blah, 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 blah. I think rather than scaring people, let's flip the coin, man. Boris.
Yeah, you know, the way you direct this, you're talking to Boris, but I reckon agendas and whatever bullshit, right? Brian Rose, right? Grin, you know Brian Rose is. T, you know Brian Rose is. Yeah, digital freedom platform. Let's play, right? That's where because that's not a UK thing. That's a global thing, right? People, how many people watch like David Icke and his? Well, we're gonna get taken off air now. But like, how many people watched his podcast with this guy and He Who Shall Not Be Named and all that, right? That's the platform that we should roll this thing out. So he's getting an email later on today for sure from Evolve, Achieve, Thrive.
You know what else?
Do it, brother.
Yeah, man.
It couldn't always be like 100% successful, but like where I've personally applied, that's why I'm saying this, where I've personally applied it, it's had some form of impact for the positive. And I think like my mom's had like a whole heap of events over the last few years and she's had really bad sleep. And I literally just sent her 3 videos that Umar's done. I was like, just do this throughout the day and do it before bed. The next day she texts me herself, she's like, oh wow, my sleep was much better. And I was like, now your sleep's better. And all of a sudden now she's then gone on to getting coaching from Umar. She's now, I'm guessing, eating better, moving better. And this woman, I apologize if you're listening, if she ever listens to this, but like lack of regulation really comes to mind. And like, for me, I'm just like, wow, like she's progressing so much. And I sent her 3 things that my mate's done. Could have been anyone, but it was just him. He did it. I know I keep saying he's really good, but he did it. So like I sent the video that he did, and then she felt a knock-on effect. A couple of my other clients asked me like, I'm struggling with sleep, or if I train really late, I'm noticing this a lot. Like when people train late, they're just still wired before when they get into bed. And then I'm just like, what kind of training did you do? And they'll be like, CrossFit. And I'm just like, and then what time did you eat? And they'll be like 10:30. So what time did you go to sleep? I didn't actually go to sleep. I was just tossing and turning all night. But they're not aware that their choice of lifestyle for that particular day contributed to their lack of optimal sleep. And then that will happen. And then the training session we had the next day was also not as productive as it could be. And then once we switched it round, I said, right, don't do CrossFit at this time. Try CrossFit at this time and eat at this time. Just see what happens. And she did it. And it was better. So if any of you guys want to message London Real, Boris, tag me in it. I'm more than happy to go down there and have a word.
Spam it. Everyone listening, just jump on this shit.
Get on it.
Sorry, go on. You go.
I was going to ask you, like, what kind of things are you helping people with for sleep? Like, what are you suggesting are the biggest bang for buck that's working?
I think the biggest thing that I've noticed was less blue light. Like less phone use before bed. That was the first thing. Like, what do you do with your phone? Like, sometimes I just flick through my phone till late. That's quite a basic, easy win. So let's get a system and a routine in place. An hour before bed, you're not going to have that. And then, in the name of you actually sleeping better, then in return, going to allow you to perform better the next day. If you really give a crap about that, which you should, that's one thing that you can do straight away. Sometimes I feel what's helped, I've seen help, is just basic breathing exercises.
Yeah.
Just literally, they may be in a sympathetic state and they're not even aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't aware of it. I remember I was doing like 70 hours a week, training twice a day, and I was like this all day, and I was like, why can't I? And then once I became aware, I don't do that no more because it's not productive. So I think in the two things, a few things, electronics, timing their day more appropriately. So it's, if they can, because obviously people have kids, they'll have family, they'll have businesses, trying to make their time management more optimal in line with them being optimal for themselves. Pre-bed, basic, I'll send them like, try this before bed, like breathing exercises that I've seen from the internet or Umar showed me or whatnot. Send them that, they'll do that before bed. Sometimes they'll message me and they'll say, I fell asleep whilst I was doing it. And I was just like, the general consensus that I've been getting back is more awareness could be in place here. And if more awareness is in place, I may not have the answer now. I do this a lot with my clients. They'll sometimes ask me a question and I don't know what the answer is. I'm like, give me 48 hours and I'll get you the answer. I'll find out. So those are the kind of things that, like, simple wins, simple wins, basics. And I think if more people was aware of them, they would be more, it's my favorite word at the minute, they'd be more optimal.
Yeah, man. Optimal. That's what it's about. Is you probably appreciate following him as well. Keep talking about it with Umar, Andrew Huberman, who Umar likes to call Brian Huberman. Keeps forgetting his name. It's fucking brilliant. But he talks a lot about how to optimize your sleep, and like circadian rhythms and stuff. And yeah, I think you get a lot out of following this guy on Instagram, because he basically teaches neuroscience of sleep and neuroscience of focus, neuroscience of goals, neuroscience of stress and stuff on through like IGTV videos. If you haven't come across him before. So yeah, I'd recommend that, man. Because like, so the thing, well, like one of the things is so light is the thing that you're referring to with mobile phone use, and actually is like the big thing is about blue light, but it's actually a lot of it is to do with brightness of light. So it's not even actually about the blue light, it's about toning down the brightness of the light. And so another thing that is I've started suggesting to clients as well is if you're struggling to go to sleep, in the hour to 2 hours before bed, instead of having your overhead lights on, put lights on that are low level, like lamps and stuff, and also reduce the brightness of those as well. Because what's amazing is, like, you know, the eyes are basically first and foremost have evolved to tell us about whether it's daylight or nighttime, and not even about seeing. And so the cells in the eye that help you regulate your circadian rhythms and pick up on light are based at the bottom of the eye, so they pick up light coming from above. So if the lighting above is on, and then that basically tells your brain, your eyes pick up on that and tells your brain, like, oh no, you're supposed to be awake, so it doesn't produce as much melatonin as it should. So it's like fascinating stuff like that. So it's just even little trick, like, which I do it all the time, and like every single time is just I'm in a much better state to go to sleep if overhead lights are off and I've actually got lighting on that is level with my eyesight or below. That's another one.
Thanks for that nugget, man. I didn't know that.
So interesting you say that, Gwen, because I listened to the same video and I was like, I'm going to try on this. So I've been using these all week, like
what's that?
Candles.
Oh, cool.
Like,
yeah,
I've just had it on my bedside table because I'm just going to try it. Like the whole lowering of the light thing. I kind of likened it to, like, you know, in the sun, you see a sun cycle in the sky, and it kind of gets to its peak, and obviously it's 12 o'clock or whatever, and then it comes down. It's kind of as it's lowering on the horizon. I suppose your eyes can see it lowering on the horizon. When it disappears, bedtime. So if you can put that down really low, and then, like, for instance, if I'm praying or whatever in the evening, and then by the time I finish, I'll just blow the candle out, and it's, oh, lights gone. It's like it's had that thing from when it's up here to when it's kind of gradually gone to here, and now it's out. It's like my body's definitely. I've noticed it, like, the last couple of days when I do that and I stick to that routine. I stick to that routine, like, with the intent. I think this is a big thing people miss a little bit as well. Is that there's two things I want to say on this, right? Like, if you had a list of things that are effective, the top of the list, the 100% conversion rate to you reading something and then getting the result, is you actually doing it. not you actually hearing about it, not you actually speaking to somebody about it, or reading about it, or watching a video about it, or studying it, or whatever. It's actually just do the thing. You know what I mean? Like Paul Chek says, do the thing to have the power. It's like such a simple quote, but it's like it's so obvious, right? But sometimes doing it without all the little pieces, you can actually miss. So but for now, don't even worry about those little pieces. Just do the thing. That's the 100% conversion rate. Did you pick your phone up and put it over there and leave it away from you? Well, then you PR'd today in sleep routine thing. You PR'd just now. You know, I mean, that's like ring the PR bell for the deadlift. Yeah, ring it for yourself because you're gonna sleep well now. That's as important. That's more. Like TJ said, it's more important because if you don't sleep well tonight, you're gonna mess up tomorrow. And it's like that cycle continues, and all of a sudden, where did the last 5 years go? Right? That's such a simple thing, but yeah, I forgot my other point, but that's enough for now.
How has your sleep been lately? Because I know you said your sleep's been not that great.
It was bad for a whole week because I got behind on my study. and I had to do it late, and I was literally closing my laptop and getting straight in my bed. This is terrible. Like trying to be like, okay, work. Listen to Jordan Challow talk at 400 miles an hour, and then close the laptop and go to sleep. It's like that's not going to work. It's never going to work. And what I do now is like from 9:30 to 10:30, we have like sundown prayer. Maghrib prayer is 9:30 or roughly 9:30, and then the last prayer of the night is Isha. Is like that can be around about 10:30, close to whatever. Once that between that in that window 9:30 10:30, I'm not doing nothing. Like I'm literally sitting down. If I'm reading, I've got my blue light blockers on, the candles are on, my lights off, that light's off, my living room lights off. Like downstairs is where I kind of spend most of my time. My bedroom's downstairs, so I don't need to go upstairs ever. And down here, there's no lights on. So like while the sun's going down, my lights are going down too. And it's helped to know it. Like I had a whole week where I mentioned it on the podcast, like this group thing told me my sleep was like 12%, 11%, 17%, 20% was the highest I got, which is consistently like I'm redlining. I'm waking up in the morning on like a quarter tank and then trying to run the whole day on a quarter tank. I'm going to run out, right? And since then, it's been nothing but yellows and greens, which basically is like the higher end of the spectrum. You got a full tank of gas, go and play the whole day. You're fine.
Yeah,
so much better.
So it's better.
Much better.
Made that correction.
Much better. Yeah. That's it, man. That's it. Yeah. Grin. How are you for time, man?
Oh yeah. Good. Yeah, give you another 10 minutes. And what was the thing that you? Oh man, you said something there. Yeah. Like Peterson says it all the time, right? It's like whatever you need to do it badly. It's like it doesn't matter. You just got to start. So if it's just one thing where you're just putting your phone away, fantastic. You've made a start. You PR'd, like you said, man. That's a great way of putting it. It's like you're setting a PR for your day and for yourself, and that's something that you can do again. You can feel good about it, and then you can build on that, and you can build on that, and build on that. Because it's not about being perfect straight off the bat. It's just about progress, and that's progress.
100%. Yeah, that's you know, the TJ mentioned it earlier, like paralysis by analysis, and like I think we all have that to some degree. Sometimes you think about, I'll read up everything there is to read about sleep. I won't actually do the thing. I will actually kind of do it with intent of like, I want to have this time. Like we wouldn't miss a meeting with somebody. You wouldn't miss a dinner date. You wouldn't miss anything. You wouldn't miss getting out of bed for work, or if your kid started crying, you wouldn't miss getting up at that. But the thing that actually underpins all of that stuff is your own human being vehicle being maintained to the top of its to the best of its ability, right? So give that a bit more intent as well, and you see it kind of filter through the rest of your life as well.
Yeah, man. It's like there's a weird thing there though, which I think is because we have our body for our whole lives, it's easy to take for granted. It's like it's strange, right? It's like it's this one thing. We only have one of it. We have it for our whole life. We're with it every single day of the week, every single minute, every single second. Like you can't, whatever time molecule we want to break it down into, you've got it the whole time. And that's why it's easy to take for granted as well, especially with the environment that we've created for ourselves with our civilization. So you have to actually put a concerted effort into taking care of it. Whereas not so long ago, it wasn't that much of a concerted effort because your environment and what you did on a day-to-day basis was just geared towards it being an optimal condition. Like hunter-gatherer lifestyle apparently is like, 4 or 5 hours of the day is spent being active and the rest of the time is spent being chilling. So they know when to be sympathetic and they know when to be parasympathetic, and they organize in the day according to the sunrise and the sunset, and they've got community time and all that kind of stuff, and it's just naturally built in because of the constraints of the environment. And whereas we don't have that kind of thing, so we have to learn that circadian rhythm based on waking up based on the sunrise and the sunset is how our body basically organizes itself. And then it's like, okay, cool, so now we have to actually learn that sleeping isn't for when you're dead. Sleeping will cause you to die 20 years earlier. So rather, you might want to prioritize that shit because of the effect that it has on everything else in your life. But we have to learn that, not because we have to learn that because of the kind of environment that we've created for ourselves, as opposed to it just being a given. And we have to learn why we do these things now. And that's something that is a new place for us, I think, in our history.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Totally agree. That's a really interesting point you just made about like your body being with you your entire life, and then say nothing goes wrong. You don't know how to get out of problems. You know what I mean? You don't know how to. And this is like linking it back to TJ, and his life has kind of been a bit up and down and up and down and up and down. It's like that down is forcing only an up. Like unless you go down and you stay down and you keel over and die or whatever, you're only ever going to come up from there, right? Hopefully, you only ever learn from that lesson, and you'll actually be able to move forward. Like for instance, this week I was sat in the dentist chair getting a tooth pulled out that broke because of whatever reason, like overcrowding in my mouth or whatever, and it cracked in January, my cousin's wedding, and I was sat there in the dentist chair. Like, I'm legit making this thought in my head, right? I'm like, I've personally not been aware enough to look after this tooth. That's why it's broken, right? And the fact that now I'm in pain because of that is like me telling myself, I need to go through this pain now to learn to look after the rest of these guys. And legit, I had to sit there and be like, thank you, tooth, because you helped me out, right? But now I'm sorry, but you've got to go. And the rest of you guys that are left behind, I'll look after you as well. And legit, I had that thought and I just completely relaxed in the chair, and the guy went, pluck, and he pulled the tooth out. And I'm like, oh, sick. Thanks, man. Like you did a really good job. I'm going to go home and look after this as best I can. And that's all I can say. Look after them, right? It's I think having that awareness. Yeah, Dennis hooked me up, man. I think having that awareness and like kind of just bringing it back down to that level sometimes helps. I think fast pace of life and all that shit, but slow. Sometimes you need the reminder to be like, fix your shit, like that. Take it away from you a little bit. Take it away from you so you learn to value that you do have it.
Yeah, exactly, man. Fix your shit. That's extreme ownership right there as well.
I think lockdown presented that to people a little bit as well. Just like,
if you took the opportunity, I think.
The perspective of like, I have to work, can focus on my own shit, and make it better. I think, rather than being stressed out about it, look at the things that perhaps could have been better for yourself. I think I know me and Umar have definitely applied that to some extent. With even if we're aware, if we was aware of it or we wasn't. So, and another like that tooth analogy, that tooth story that you gave there, Umar, pretty good comparison.
Nice, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like the opportunity is there if you want to take it, though, right? It's there's plenty of people who haven't taken the opportunity with regards to current circumstances, but you're ready for it when you're ready for it, I guess.
Interesting stuff, guys. Should we call it? Should we call it there? We've got some questions and stuff, or should we call it there?
Yeah, let's call it there, man. Let's call it there. That was wicked, man. TJ, it was some fascinating shit. You got me super pumped up with your Nuffield story as well, man. Just
I'm glad. First time I've done this, wasn't said to Umar, what do we talk about? What do I say? Because there's loads that could be said, but obviously trying to keep it relevant and polite and necessary. Super necessary.
Bro, you say what you got to say. You divulge what you divulge. It's an honest conversation, and there's a lot to take from it, whatever comes out.
So yeah, I hope my the journeys. I mean, I know Umar's journey. I've done a little bit more of yours today. So, yeah, thank you for this. I enjoyed it very much, so guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was a pleasure to chat with you. I think we're going to do this again for sure. There's so much I think because like, for example, like Umar's, we didn't even get into it today, but he's like, you're one of the most present people and one of the most like gracious people that he knows in terms of expressing gratitude and stuff. And that's just something to explore and talk some more about.
Thumbs up you, bro. No, you know what? It's weird. Quickly on that topic, I think on that topic, I think that's been a big factor for me to be able to consistently have a personal training business.
Yeah, man.
Like expressing gratitude to workplaces that allowed me to function, that allow my business to function. Having clients that have entrusted the processes that I've put in place for them to move forward, and then expressing gratitude alongside all those things. Because I haven't done very well on social media. I think I've only had Instagram for about 3 years. So like, yeah, I think being gracious goes a long way. So thanks, bro. Appreciate those words.
Yeah, man. It's again, is like, in the context of the unregulated background that you talk about, and like how you've come along from that. There's just so much to learn from it, man. So I just want to keep talking to you.
Well, we'll do this whenever you want to do it again. We'll do it. Or I'm sure me and Umar might come. Well, asking Umar, let's go to London to train with the guys that he's got there. That'd be a really good kind of experience too.
Yeah, awesome, man.
It'd be good catch up there in person.
For sure. Like, I wanted to chat to you a lot about grappling as well. Like your thoughts, because you said something about the process, and got a lot of thoughts. I want to explore with you on that one as well. But yeah, we'll save it for another chat.
Wicked. Guys,
Part 2 with TJ.
Part 2 with
TJ.
People, thank you very much. Thank you very much for people tuning in. I really appreciate your time and attention. And just not right now. I'll put it out on. It'll be there for Monday morning. But we can go live one day, man. Like fully go live. That'll be jokes to see what happens. But appreciate people tuning in. Tell us what you think of the episode as well. Like, give us some comments. Any questions based off of the kind of things that we were talking about, we're happy to address them. And how does anyone find you, TJ, if they want to get in touch with you, have a conversation with you?
They want to have a conversation. Just it's Instagram at TJ1803. That's the only social platform I'm on at the minute.
Was it at TJ Singh 1803?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Nice, man. Any parting thoughts?
No, just thank you. And I will see you both soon.
Pleasure.
Cheers, guys.
That was awesome. Speak to you soon, man.
See you in a bit. Bye.
Guys.